गुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपा कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वापदान्तिकम्। नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिनिति नामिने। नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देश तारिणे। वंदेहम श्रीगुरु श्रीयुतापदकमलं श्रीगुरुन् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगना रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजना सहितं कृष्णा चैतन्य देवं श्रीराधा कृष्ण पादान् सहगना ललिता श्री विशाखान्वितांश्च। हे कृष्णा करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधु जगतपते गोपेशा गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमोस्तुते। तप्त कांचना गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंदा। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय, गुरु परंपरा की जय, गुरुदेव की जय, ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। नारायण नमस्कृत्यं नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरये। श्रीमतां स्वकथा कृष्ण पुण्य श्रवण कीर्तनम हृदयन्तस्थ भद्राणि विधुनोति सुहृत्सतां नष्टप्रायेषु अभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवती उत्तम श्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी। सर्वशास्त्रादि पीयूष सर्ववैदिक सत्पर सर्वसिद्धांत रत्नाद्य सर्वलौकिक दिक्प्रद सर्वभागवत प्राण श्रीमद्भागवतो प्रभु कलिदंतोतितादित्य श्री कृष्ण परिवर्तिता परमानंद पाठाय प्रेम वर्ष अक्षराय ते सर्वदा सर्व सेवाय श्री कृष्णाय नमोस्तुते। मद एक बंधु मद संगिन मद गुरुन मन महाधन मन निस्तारक मद भाग्य मद आनंद नमोस्तुते। असाधु साधुता दायिन अति नीच तथा कर हा ना मुंचा कदाचिन्मा प्रेम न रित कंथयो स्पुरः। कंथाश्रम भागवताम की जय। Welcome everyone. So thank you all so much for joining. Nice to see you all on this Sunday morning. So today we are going to proceed with chapter number 11 of the third canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. Chapter 11 is titled Calculation of Time from the Atom. And when you hear the title, you're wondering, like, is this Bhakti Vaibhav class or is this a class on physics or astronomy? It's amazing. Like we are going to study all this. And last time, anyone remembers what he studied in the last chapter? Any point? Yeah, go ahead.
Biology.
Biology, okay. Yeah, biology. Today we are studying physics. Okay. Anything else? Any other points from last? Like just to get the flow of where are we in the entire discussion? Why are we discussing biology and physics in this Rasam Alayam? Right? Bhagavatam is an abode of rasa. Every shloka is to be filled with rasa. How come all this physics and biology that we are studying? What is the connection here? Is my voice clear? Yes.
Yes. Yes, bro.
Okay, any points from previous chapter just to get our connection onto this chapter? What is the question that Vidura has asked Maitreya Rishi?
He asked, how did Brahma create the world?
Yeah, so,
And
yes.
then Brahma, the description is how he divided the lotus stem into different divisions.
Right. So we see in the starting of the 10th chapter, Vidura starts off with asking the question, how did Brahma, from his own body and from his own mind, create the bodies of living entities? How do you create all our bodies, right? And that was the starting of the question. And then Maitreya Rishi started describing that how Brahma, after he had when he received all the instructions from Krishna, then what did he do? Again, he performed austerity, right? Penance. He actually meditated for 100 celestial years. 100 celestial years. And then he actually saw, he had already offered prayers, he had realizations, and then he had again offered his you know, penance, or he did his meditation. And then he saw that, yes, I am on this lotus, but this entire lotus is actually moving, it's trembling. Why? Because of the entire water of devastation that has covered it all the way up to the not the 14th planetary system, but up to the 11th planetary, or sorry, 10th planetary system. And then water had covered. So what did Brahma do? He actually absorbed all this water and this heavy wind that's blowing, right? And then he actually started, okay, now the water is gone, the stem is there. So he divided the stem first into how many divisions? 3 divisions, and then into 14 divisions, right? And then Maitreya Rishi asked, okay, after hearing all this, he said, like, what about time? I want to know more about the symptoms of time, right? So it's so interesting that Vidura keeps asking questions. He doesn't even allow Maitreya Rishi to finish the answer, and then he goes, okay, tell me another question. He has another question, right? So he has asked, like, how did Brahma give the bodies to the different living entities? And then Maitreya Rishi started describing the process. And before he could come to the point of bodies, Vidura asked, oh, tell me about time. And then we read 3 verses in the previous chapter where Maitreya Rishi talks about time, right? A very brief description, but that is elaborated further in this chapter, right? So that is a flow. And then he just mentioned briefly about time, and then he comes to, okay, how do all the living entities get their body? So he talks of primary creation starting from Mahatattva, right? The six aspects, Mahatattva, Ahankar, and then Jnana Shakti, Kriya Shakti, Dravya Shakti, and how all the sense devatas, senses, tanmatras, all that, an entire chart. And then after that, how Brahma creates, right? And when he gives the bodies to different living entities, he divides the entire living entity into 4 categories, right? What are those? One of the plants, then there's the lower species, the animals, human beings, and then devatas, right? And based on each, we read, okay, how many different kinds of plants are there? 6 kinds of plants, 28 kinds of animals, then 8 kinds of demigods, and then the human being, right? And what was this classification based on? Maybe this one someone should be able to answer. How did Brahma divide all the living entities?
Nourishments, so like vertical, horizontal, and
Yes. How do they get nourishment? How do the plants get nourishment? It is from downward to up. They eat from their legs, right? And then how do the animals get their nourishment? Their nourishment is horizontal. How do human beings get the nourishment? It is vertical from top to bottom, right? So based on this, he's actually divided, made the different divisions. And then, yeah, okay. So that's how the chapter ended. Now in this chapter, we'll be reading about time. So Vidura had already asked the question in the previous chapter. I want to know more about time, right? Eternal time. What is this kala? How does it affect each one of us? So now he'll divide. So describe this. So this chapter is a technical chapter, and we'll try to add some stories in this chapter. Just share my screen. So everyone has Subodhini. Please keep it in front of you. Particularly for this chapter, you'll certainly need Subodhini. You can see my screen here. Everyone can see my screen?
Yes, Prabhuji, I can see.
Okay. So this is chapter number 11. So first is calculation of time from the atom. Right? So time also has small and big divisions like matter. That's the first thing, the divisions of time. Then immediately after time, Vidura asks, okay, what about the inquiry about those who are beyond one kalpa? What is one kalpa? One kalpa is 1 day of Brahma. Right? So are there any living entities other than Brahma who are actually not affected by this day and night of Brahma? Who are they and what is their duration of existence, right? So then to explain that, Maitreya Rishi talks of the duration of the yugas, duration of manus, and then Brahma's day, what happens, Brahma's night, what happens, Brahma's lifespan, and he gives a wonderful conclusion to this chapter. Insignificance of Brahma's lifespan. Okay, so let's get started. Start with text number 1. And it's like 41 verses in the chapter. We'll go a little fast and then if there are any questions. So let's start with text number 1.
Maitreya Uvacha Charamasa Visheshanam Aneko Samyuta Sada Paramanu Savigyeyo Nrinam Aikya Brahma Yataha. I forgot to put the list yet, but maybe Vrindavan Vilasini Mataji or
Hare Krishna. Mataji, we're reading from chapter 11, text 1.
yes.
The material manifestation's ultimate particle, which is indivisible and not formed into a body, is called the atom. It exists always as an invisible identity. Even after the dissolution of all forms, the material body is but a combination of such atoms, but it is misunderstood by the common man. Hare Krishna.
So before describing the time, right, it's actually, so it is not easy to just describe the divisions of time. So to actually make that something that we can understand, Maitreya Rishi first starts by explaining the divisions of matter. Right? So matter and time, and we'll explain this correlation in a bit. But first he explains what is the smallest. Charama means the smallest, the ultimate, the smallest unit of matter. So if someone asks you what is the smallest unit of matter, what will you say?
The atom.
Atom.
Atom. Right? That's what in modern science we study atom. So here basically he's saying Charama Sad Visheshana. So Visheshana, the symptoms. What is the symptoms of that smallest matter, smallest unit of matter? And he says it is Aneka. They are innumerable. Right? And Asamyuta, unmixed. What does it mean? It's unmixed. That even though different atoms come together and form an object, but still in the object, atoms are unmixed, right? So hence the word, it says Aneka, innumerable, but asamyuta. And Sada, they are always unmixed. And Parama Anuhu. So what is this called? What is the Sanskrit word you here used for atom? Paramanu, right? Paramanu. This is the smallest division of parts and it's innumerable, unmixed, and always exists. And it is also, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says that Aneka also refers to how it is indivisible and invisible. Can you see an atom? Right? So you cannot divide it further. It is invisible. Right? And then further, the next part of it says Vigyaha should be understood. So this smallest unit of matter should be understood as Paramanuhu. Nrinam Aikya Brahma. Brahma means what? We say one of the 4 defects of human beings is what? Brahma. Brahma means they are mistaken. We tend to make mistakes, right? Brahma, what mistake does human beings actually make? They actually think that here particularly proper explains point. So when sun rays comes to the screen, right, we can see particles of the sun rays, right? Everyone has this experience. You see the sun rays are coming in, you can see the small particles. And then the mistake that Nrina people make as that they consider this particle to be Paramanu. Because that's the smallest thing we see, right? So they think this is Paramanu, but that is Brahma. But what is Parmanu? Parmanu is that one particle divided by 6. 1/6 of that particle is actually Parmanu. But it is not visible to human beings. And hence human beings actually mistake this particle that we see in the sun coming through a window screen as a Parmanu. Right? But also Nrina, why there is a focus on Nrina? Because it makes the point is actually made, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says, that some small insects, which is of the size of Trasha Renu, we'll come to what is Trasha Renu, but some really small insects can actually see the atom. But human Rinam cannot see. Hence, humans are actually bewildered when they hear about this. So as I mentioned, this is a science class. So everyone be ready. We're going to discuss science now. So we are talking of sun rays and how that rays, you have to divide into 1/6, then it is an atom. And that is Paramanu. Okay. And Prabhupada and purport makes the point that how Srimad Bhagavatam is full text of all descriptions of knowledge, including the theory of atomism. The atom is a minute, subtle form of. Okay. So, so Prabhupada makes the point that even in modern science, they accept. Like when I asked you what is the smallest unit of matter, you all said atom. Right? We studied that in modern science. So same thing is here actually. Text number 2.
Sata eva pradartasya swarupavastitasya yat kaivalyam paramamahan avishesho nirantaraha.
Translation: atoms are the ultimate state of the manifest universe. When they stay in their own forms without forming different bodies, they are called the unlimited oneness. There are certainly different bodies in physical forms, but the atoms themselves form the complete manifestation.
So he says Shataha. So now having explained the smallest unit of matter, now he is going to explain the largest unit of matter. What is that? So when I asked smallest, you said atom. What would be the largest unit of matter? Can you think about it? Based on, I don't think from science perspective you can say, but from a Bhagavatam perspective, what would you say the largest unit of matter?
All the lokas.
Was it?
All the universes.
Okay, all the universes. Okay, that's good. And Vamshikar?
I said mountains, bro.
Okay. Mountains is big, but beyond that we can go bigger, right? So universe is one.
Galaxy.
Galaxy? Okay, galaxy. Okay. Okay, so here
The entire like Prakriti, like
yes.
entire.
Okay, so that's actually we are getting close to the right answer. Because when you talked of the creation, what we talk of? Mahat Tattva. Starting from Mahat Tattva, we said how the creation. So, okay, so let's see this verse now. What is the point? So, Sataha of the effective manifestation, Pada Arthasya of physical bodies, Swarupa Avastita. Right? So, staying in the same form even to the time of dissolution. So, what does this mean? That the effective manifestation of physical bodies, right, and the state that they have previous to the state, a time of dissolution, right? So that is one way of understanding it. But Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur also says that the state of oneness of Paramanu, of particles of matter. So here Shataha, he says, refers to the particles of matter. And the state of oneness, Kaivalyam, this verse has Kaivalyam, oneness, which is a state previous to the condition of Pralaya. Right? That is the Swarupa Avastitaha. That is called Parama Mahan. Right? So what is atom called? Paramanu. What is the largest unit of matter called? Parama Mahan. Right? So it is one extreme is Paramanu, other is Parama Mahan. And then he says, Avisheshaha, where there is no sense of distinct qualities. Which is that physical manifestation where there is no sense of distinct qualities? That is, you have to go beyond where the creation started. And that is actually referring to the entire Mahat Tattva together. So, one way. And Nirantara, there's no sense of different objects. That totality of all the matter composed of Paramanu is Paramamahan. Totality of all the matter together is actually Parama Mahan. So that's basically it. Prabhupada didn't give a purport to this. Is there a question here?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, in the previous verse, we read that here we are saying that the atom is indivisible. I just want to clarify that in day-to-day language in science, the atom is divisible. We can have a beam of electrons, we can even go inside the nucleus and we can have a beam of neutrons. So I think this Paramanu is not exactly the same as the atom, that is the word that is used in day-to-day science.
It's quite possible. Like, the explanation of Paramanu, that the closest that we explain here is atom. Because the theory of electron, proton, that also keeps changing. Right? They talk about wave theory and all the other theories. So here, Prabhupada used the word atom, but we can certainly accept that the Paramanu that is described here may not be in line with what the atom and science is actually. So that point is true. Okay. So Paramanu is okay, and the other is Parama Mahan. Right? And why are we describing these two extremes? What does this have to do with time? So that is the next verse, text number 3.
Evam kalopyanumita shokshmye stolye cha satama samsthana bhuktya bhagavan avyakto vyakta bhug vibhuhu. Vasudev Prabhu, are you able to read?
Yes. One can estimate time by measuring the movement of the atomic combination of bodies. Time is the potency of the Almighty Personality of Godhead, Hari, who controls all physical movement, although he is not visible in the physical world.
Okay, so now we explain matter, smallest and largest unit. Now, similarly, time can be actually divided into the smallest and largest. Right? So he's actually using the point of matter to explain the divisions of time. Right? Now, that is one point. Right? So smallest unit of matter, largest unit of matter. Smallest units of time, largest unit of that is one. Now, that is first point. The second point is, how is it actually measured? Evam. So thus, having explained the smallest and largest unit of matter, now kalaha. Kalaha referring to time. And the question is about time. So now he's saying, thus, time, anumitaha, can be measured in these two. Saukshmya in the subtle, stolya in the gross. So what is Saukshmya referring to here? Based on a previous verse? Paramanu, right? And then what is Stolya referring to? Parama Mahan, right? So there's two extremes. So time can be measured in the smallest unit of matter and the largest unit. How? Samsthanana, combination of matter and bhuktya. Bhuktya is the main word. By the motion of what we'll read further. It is basically the motion of the sun on this matter. So the time it takes the sun to move over the Paramanu is actually the smallest unit of time. The time it takes the sun to move over the largest of the Parama Mahan, that is the largest. Okay, so that's how it is actually described. So Bhuktya. But what is this time? Bhagwan, Avyakta, Vyakta Bhuka, Vibhuhu. That Bhagwan, that Vibhuhu, that great potency. So this time itself is what? One of the potencies of the Lord. Right? It is Avyakta, it is the unmanifested form of the Lord, and this is actually controlling all physical movement. It is time that is controlling all physical movement. We described a little bit, we touched upon this in the previous chapter also, that how time is actually controlling all the physical movement, in the sense that we said how at Brahmaji he has a different time, right? Dimension of time. We have a different dimension of time. And how the body is changing, right? 1 minute for us, how the body changes in 1 minute, that is not how the body is changing for Brahmaji in that time. So based on the dimension of time, the body is changing, right? So it is the time that is responsible for controlling all. And this time is actually unmanifested form of the Supreme Personality of God. That's okay?
Hare Krishna Prabhu,
Yes.
you know, you said that if the time in Brahmaloka is different, but you know, do you think, I mean, do you say that Brahma has a big body then, like, you know, as you said that bigger body?
Suddenly Brahma is a much bigger body than us.
Mm-hmm. So
But
I thought,
even the transformation of his body is different from how our body is being.
oh,
So how our body goes through transformation, birth, then we come into existence, stay for some time, growth, byproducts, decay, right? So how that transformation of matter is happening in our time dimension is different from how the transformation of Brahma's body actually happens in his. So yes, it is larger, but even in that larger, the transformation is not the same. So movement of physical movement is dependent upon time. Is that your question?
yes, yes.
Like what
Krishna.
yeah.
No.
Yes, ma'am. Go ahead.
Yeah, Prabhuji, you said Parama Mahan, right? Is it the same as Mahatattva?
Not the same as Mahatattva. One way we actually consider the sum total of all material creation, right? It is not directly referred to as Mahatattva, but it actually said, like in the previous verse, we read the words such as Kaivalya, Nirantara, and Avishesha. Avishesha, if you combine all the atoms together, see, the perspective is when you see Mahatattva, how do we explain the Mahatattva from? What comes before Mahatattva?
Pradhan.
Pradhan, right? So we explain that in terms of Pradhan's transformation comes to Mahatattva, right? But here, how are we trying to understand? Yes, trying to understand from atom. And we are saying the sum total of all the atoms, where there is no avishesha, there's no sense of distinct qualities between them. If you combine all the atoms together, that is Pradhan. Okay, so it is not, it is just a definition of how they are defined. Mahatattva from Pradhan we explained. This is from atom.
Okay, thank you.
As a continuation to the same question is, so they are like, we're talking about respective universes, right? Are we talking about like universal creation? Because as you said, the biggest unit of time is the time it travels from that unit, right? I mean, the object, the matter.
Yes.
So if it is Param Mahan, which is like sum total of all the atoms, would be pertaining to one particular universe, right? Because sun is there in individual universe individually, right? I mean, like, do we consider it from outside the universe, like Mahavishnu's position?
Okay, so that point comes further in the chapter, right?
Okay.
Because we are going to start off at, okay, from Parama, okay, so the time corresponding to Paramanu to the time corresponding to Parama Mahan, and how does that relate to Mahavishnu's time? That is the ending of this chapter.
Okay.
Okay? So we'll come to that point. Okay?
And in this book, it says that Paramahan time is the time expanded from the beginning of creation till the dissolution of the universes. So plural, more than one.
What was the last point you said, Madhu?
Time expanded from the beginning of creation till the dissolution of the universes.
Right. So
that's the Paramahan.
Yeah, Paramahan. So that is referring to what? One breath of Mahavishnu. Right. So that is what the end of this chapter comes. We will come to that point. Okay. So, right, we are right here at this point. Okay. So in the text number 4, in the purport, Prabhupada makes the point. He says, why is time explained in terms of matter? And because he says time and space are two correlative terms. And he explains, the time covered by the sun in passing over an atom is called atomic time. So Paramanu, so time it takes for this covered by the sun in passing over one atom is Paramanu, is the atomic time. And the greatest time of all that covers the entire existence is actually the time relating to Paramamaha. Okay, so Prabhupada in the purport, he says, the last sentence, it is measured in terms of circulation of the total planet system until the end of the creation is called the supreme Kal. So that point from Subodhini, the beginning of creation to end of the creation, that is the supreme time. The time corresponding to Parama Mahan. Everyone is like, oh, why is this like so much physics in this? Physics was never my favorite subject, and now again I have to go back to physics, right? But let's see. Okay, text number 5.
Did we do text 4?
Yeah. The text 4 is basically that aspect of, oh, sorry, we didn't do 4, right? Oh, we just did 3. Oh, yeah, okay, sorry. And let's do text 4. I already explained text 4, actually. Right.
Sakala Paramanurvai Yo Bhunkte Paramanutam Sato Vishesha Bhugyastu Sakala Paramo Mahan.
Hare Krishna. Atomic time is measured according to its covering a particular atomic space. That time which covers the unmanifested aggregate of atoms is called the great time. Hare Krishna.
Right, so if you see a Sanskrit, you can directly relate it. Sakala, that eternal time. Paramanu. So Paramanu, then referring to atomic. So that atomic time, how do we define? Yo bhunkte. Bhunkte means the passes over. The time it takes for the sun to pass over Paramanu. Right? Paramanu, what is that? One atom. That is Parama. That is the atomic time. And Sato Vishesha Bhuk. So he says, and further, he says, Sata, the entire aggregate of Avishesha Bhuk, passing over the entire Parama Mahan, is known as Parama Mahan time, right? The great time. So I already discussed this first, actually. I haven't further. So next, text number 6. Oh, sorry, text number 5.
Anurdvo Paramanusyat Trasarenustrayasvataha Jalarkarashmyavangataha Kam Evanupatan Agat.
Hare Krishna. The division of gross time is calculated as follows. 2 atoms make 1 double atom, and 3 double atoms make 1 hexatom. This hexatom is visible in the sunshine, which enters through the holes of a window screen. One can clearly see that the hexatom goes up towards the sky.
If you actually show this verse to someone and say like, please take a Bhagavatam, you'll read all about chemistry. You'll be like, what is this? Right? What is this? So let me share my screen again. So basically from text number 5 to text number 15, we are going to read divisions of time. So we are right here, yeah. So here you see. So Paramanu, we talked of Paramanu. Time for the sun to pass over one atomic atom, right? That is Paramanu. Then further it actually makes a point. Then further it makes the point that if you consider further, he says Anu, double atom, right? So if you consider time, it takes the sun to move over 2 atoms. Double atom is 2 Paramanus. And then Trasha Renu, that is 3 Anus. Truti is 3 Trasha Renus. Veda is 100 Trutis. So this entire what division we are reading right here will be the next few verses in the Bhagavatam, right? So let's see this text number 5. It says Dau. Anur Dau. Anuhu referring to double atom. So 2 of those Paramanu is what? Anuhu, right? So when you consider 2 Paramanu, that is Anuhu. So the first word is Anuhu, that double atom. And Traya referring to 3, right? So 3 Anu, right? 3 of those Anu is equal to what? Trasha Renu, right? And which Prabhupada says is hexatom, right? So 2 atoms is Anuhu. 3 of those 2 atoms is 6 atoms. So hence it's known as Trasha Renu. And then when we talked of when the sun shines through the window screen, what we actually see is a Trasha Renu. Hence it is 6 times the size of an atom. Right? And this, he says, Kama eva anupatan agat. And these particles, they actually move towards the sky. These Trasha Renus, they move upwards towards the sky. Everyone is like, oh, what are we studying here? How is this related to Krishna? Right? Where is the rasa in the Srimad Bhagavatam? Okay, we'll come to that point. Okay, so anyway, this is already complicated. I don't know whether I should make it one more level complicated. Should I go one more level? Okay, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, he explains this point. Okay, he says that this Trisha Renu is the evidence of Anu and Paramanu. Okay, now how is that? And he basically makes the point that we can see something when two things are there. Once there is density, and one it's a combination of different elements. The only way you see an object, let's say this pen, right, is because there is density. And there is combination of different elements within this. Hence, you can see it. So if you say that, okay, you can see a Trisha Renu, that means that there is a division of certain elements there, right? And plus, there is some aspect of density, right? So if there are two elements together, it will not create a density. So hence, it has to be minimum of 3. So minimum of 3 of those Anu will actually create a Trisha Renu. So Trisha Renu actually proves the existence of Anu and Paramanu. And then this goes over your head, you can just leave it. But he actually uses this, how density and numerous. This is actually proves the existence of Anu and Paramanu. Right? Okay, text number 6. So we can let's try to find the chart just through this, right? So everyone, please look at the chart. I mean the Sanskrit shloka and the chart together. So let's do. So if you see text 6, go ahead, Sanskrit.
Trasharenu trikam bhunte yakala satruti smrtaha shatta bhagastu veda syat taistribir tu lava smrtaha.
Okay, go ahead.
The time duration needed for the integration of 3 Trasharenus is called a Truti, and 100 Trutis makes 1 Vedha. 3 Vedhas make 1 Lava.
Okay. So now, Trasharenu 3. 3 means 3. So everyone is okay till Trasharenu? Trasharenu is how many Anus?
3 Anus.
Okay. And how many Paramanu? 6.
6.
Okay. So, and then now Trasharenu 3. So 3 of those Trasharenu, Bhungte means as they take the time to integrate, to combine together, Yah Kalaha, that time it actually takes for 3 Trasharenus to combine together is actually known as Truti. Truti, right? So if you see a chart, the next element is Truti. Truti is what? 3 Trasharenus. Then further he actually says, Shata Bhagaha. Shata means what? Like, how do you define the size of a soul?
Shata is 100.
Kleshagra, Keshagra, Shatabhagasya. Shatabhaga Kalpita. That if you take the tip of a hair, you divide into 100, Shatabhaga, and Shatabhagasya Kalpita. Then each part, you again divide into 100. So 1/10,000, the size of tip of the hair is the atom, right? So here, Shata. So Shatabhaga, so 100 parts of what? Trutihi is called what? To Vedasyat. It's called Veda. So if you see in chart, Veda is 100 Shata Trushis. Then further it says, Trai Tribis tu Lavaha Smritaha. So 3 of those Lavaha. Okay, so what is 3 of those Vedas is actually Lavaha. Okay. Now question for you. I know it's technical, but let's make it a little bit. Can you think of a verse in the Srimad Bhagavatam where we read of Truti? And a verse in the Bhagavatam where we read of Lava. I think Lava, many of you should be able to say it.
Lava Matrena.
Yeah, okay, what is the verse?
Lava Matra Sadhusanga.
Okay.
I don't know this.
Sadhusanga. Sarva Shastra ka hai, Lava Matra Sadhusanga, Sarva Siddhi hoy. Right? So if you see these units of time are described, But we'll see other places in Bhagavatam where these units are actually used to describe a particular point, right? So when you say sadhu sangha sarva shastra ka hai, lava matra sadhu sangha sarva siddhi hai. So there, lava matra. So what is lava now? Now we know what is lava. What is lava now from this verse? Lava is equal to 3 Vedas. 3 Vedas is 100 Trutis. One Truti is 3 Trasharenu. And then one Trasharenu is 3 double atoms and is 6 Anus, 6 Parmanus. Right? So that is the time of a lava. But what is the verse saying? That Sadhu Sangha, Sarva Shastra, the essence of all the Shastra is just lava matra. If you get just the lava matra association of a sadhu, then what happens? Sarva Siddhi hoy. You will get all perfection in life. That is the power of association of devotee. How much do you need? Do you need the association as Parama Mahan time? No, just lava matra time, right? Lava matra. So that's just moment of an association. And if you see towards the right in Subodhini, what is the time lava matra in terms of our time in science time calculation? It says one lava is 8 by 45th of a second. Right? 8 by 45. If you divide 8 by 45, how much is it? How is it calculated?
0.177777.
So 0.17 of a second, right? So 0.17 of a second association with a devotee, you can get what? Sarva Siddhi. That's the power of association with devotee. And again in our Shastras, we see the examples of the power of association with the pure devotee. What examples can we think of? That love matra association with the devotee and transformation.
Muni?
Who?
Narada Muni? Narada Muni with the hunter?
Oh, yes, Gary the hunter, right? Moments association and complete transformation from a person who was actually enjoying seeing the suffering of animals to the point of where he doesn't want to even hurt an ant, right? Okay. What else examples? Okay. Dhruva Maharaj transformation from Narad Muni, right? We can give you an example of Srila Prabhupada, how he transformed the lives of so many people, right? So many. The power of association of pure devotee. Just love matra, and that is actually 0.17 seconds association with the pure devotee. That's it. That is, you'll get all perfection. Okay, now Truti. Okay, lover, one more verse. We read this in Bhagavatam. So in Bhagavatam, there are 2 verses that are repeated twice. At least I know, if not, there may be more, but at least 2 verses I know which come twice in the entire Bhagavatam. Anyone knows these 2 verses? One of them we have already studied. Okay, one verse come in Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 18, text number 13. Okay, and that verse is Tulayama lave napi, again lover, right? Tulayam lave napi, na swargam na punarbhavam, bhagvat sangi sangasya martanam kim utasisaha. So that basically says what? You have to take what? Tula, right? You remember this verse? You have to take a weighing scale, and on one side, what do? Lava matra association of a devotee. You put on one side. And other side, what do you put? Other side, you put Swargam, benefit of going to heavenly planets, right? Na punarbhavam. Bhagavad Sangi Sangasya. Martayam. You can put all um, what are those compared to? The value of moments associated with devotee cannot be compared to attainment of heavenly planets or liberation from matter. No punarbhavam. So what to talk of worldly benedictions, right? That also lava matra associated with devotee cannot be compared to any of these other benefits. Now this question is still there. Where did we hear the word kruti? Everyone knows this because we chant this verse often. Bhagavatam. Shruti yugayate tvam apashyatam. Gopi Gita, right? What is the word Kruti there? atati yad bhavan anikananam Truti yugayate tvam apashyatam kutila kuntalam shri mukham chate jada udikshatam pakshma kridisham. And what are the gopis saying? Truti there? The gopis are praying. When you go to the forest during the day, let me quickly share my verses. Very beautiful verse. And particularly, I want to show how in the translation of that verse, Prabhupada actually refers to this moment of time. Right? So this is Srimad Bhagavatam 10, 31, 15. Screen. Okay, can you see my screen? So here, we see the word Kruti, right? And what does Prabhupada in the word to word say? What is Kruti? About 1 divided by 1700 of a second, right? And is that calculation what we have here? The same calculation what we see here. 1 divided by 117, 1 divided by 1000 or 1700 of a second, right? So gopis are actually saying, when you go off to the forest during a day, a tiny fraction of a second, that means 1 divided by 1700 of a second, becomes like a millennium or more for us because we cannot see you. That Truti feels like yuga, right? Yuga, we'll come to yuga also, right? 1 millennium. That Kruti feels like yuga, right? And then further, he says, and even when we can eagerly see your beautiful face, then what do? The problem is we have Paksha Kridisham. The creator, he has actually created these eyelids. Such a foolish creator that we want to see the form of Krishna, but these eyelids we have to blink. And we cannot see during that blink, we cannot see the form of Krishna. So, so how can we see rasa in these verses? You can think about how the gopis are praying that 1 Truti, 1 divided by 1700 of a second. For them, if they don't see Krishna, it appears like an entire yuga. Oh, Krishna, I have not seen you for so long. I'm feeling so much separation from you. Right? And even when they see Krishna, how much time does it take to blink an eye? We don't even realize they are blinking an eye. They say, how many times do we blink? I forget, like 6 times, or I forget what's the time we blink an eye, right? So many times we blink an eye, right? Do we notice? We don't even notice. And the gopis, when they're seeing that form of Krishna, they're relishing it so much that they're feeling that 1 blink, oh, we cannot bear that moment of separation. In that blink, we cannot see Krishna. Who is this Brahma? Such a foolish creator. He created eyelids. We cannot take darshan of Krishna properly. So that is the mood of the gopis. Right? So Truti, we see that, right? So these units that we are seeing it comes in different parts of the scripture. So even on Veda base, if you search Lava, Truti, you will find different references. Okay, let's continue. Text 7. Okay, one more thing. Truti. So Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says, Truti is defined that if you take a lotus leaf, right? If you pass a needle through the lotus leaf, the time it takes for a needle to pass through a lotus leaf is defined as 1 Truti. That's how Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur is explained. This is, he says, according to Surya Siddhanta, this is how a Truti is defined. Right? So take a lotus flower, take a petal, pass a needle. How much time it takes? That is 1 Truti. Right? Text 7.
Nimesha Strilavo Gyeya Amnatastetra Yakshanaha Krishnan Pancha Vidu Kashtam Laguta Dasha Panchacha.
The duration. Oh, sorry, ma'am. I thought it's.
It's Priyanka.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay.
Next Pratna.
The duration of time of 3 lavas is equal to 1 nimesha. The combination of 3 nimeshas make 1 kshana. 5 kshanas combined together makes 1 kashta, and 15 kashtas make 1 lagu.
Right. So if you see the Sanskrit, you can see all this. Nimesha, right? Nimesha is what? 3 lava. So we came up to point of lava, right? Lava matra sadhusanga. So 3 of those lavas is 1 nimesha, right? Right. And then 3 of those nimeshas, traya, is what? 1 shana. Right? And then 5 of the shana is 1 kashta. You see pancha? 5 of those shanas is 1 kashta. And then further, lagu is what? Lagu is dasha pancha. So 15 of those kashtas is 1 lagu. So if you see the chart also, now we are talking of seconds. So 1 kashta is like 8 seconds. And 1 lagu is 2 minutes. Okay. So now again the question, where do we hear the word nimesha? This everyone should be able to say.
Yugayitam nimishena chakshusha pravishaitam.
Yugayitam nimishena. So what are we praying there? Right? What is Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in that verse expressing his mood? Yugayitam nimishena. Yugayitam nimishena chakshusha pravishaitam shunyaitam jagat sarvam govinda virahenam. So there also the same mood of separation. That moment, that nimesha, that moment of separation from Krishna is yuga. Again, like comparison, it's like a yuga. We cannot bear that moment, that even that nimesha of separation from Krishna is like a yuga. And without Govinda virahe name, the entire world seems vacant. So our entire philosophy is what? Our whole philosophy is to develop that mood of separation from Krishna. Previously, we saw how the gopi, they feel a kruti to be like a yuga. Here we are seeing Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu saying a nimesha is like an entire yuga, because we cannot see Krishna, right? So particularly even for us, practically, what does this mean in our spiritual life? If we don't have association of devotees, if we cannot chant the holy name of Krishna, we cannot hear Kirtan of Krishna, we cannot hear Harikatha, we should feel separation from this mood, that, oh, I've not seen devotees for so long. I'm not in the association. That mood of separation we have to develop. Almost up to the point, like there's this conversation with Gaur Govind Swami Maharaj where he actually says that when Vaishnava leaves, when we see that, that Jay Anilo Prema Dhana verse, right? What do we say in that verse? He says like it's crying tears of separation when Vaishnavas leave. And he says like this, when we are crying those tears, that is the mood that we need to develop when you are feeling that love for Krishna, that mood. So our whole philosophy is to develop that mood of separation, right? Yugaitam nimishena. And then anything else? Shana? Anyone knows a reference for Shana? And that you can search a database. You can find Shana also. I'm sure there is reference. I'll give you one more reference for Nimesha. This is Chaitanya Charitamrita Adi 4:151. And in this it says, Koti netra nahi dila, sade dila dui, tahate nimesha, Krishna ki dekhibe muni. Okay. So this is actually 4:151. Beautiful verse. Right? So here again the gopis are saying, right? Koti netra nahi dela. What does this mean? Koti netra nahi dela. He has not given us koti netra. Right? He has not given us millions of years. Sabe dila dui. He gave us only 2 eyes. He did not give us millions of eyes. Only 2 eyes. Tahate nimesha. Krishna ki dekhive muni. With these 2 eyes, how can I see the lovely face of Krishna? Right? Then basically that nimesha comes. Oh yeah, the nimesha comes. He has given only 2 eyes. Tahate nimesha. Nimesha they are referring to, but those 2 eyes blink. So how can we take the darshan of Radha Golokananda with these 2 eyes? We need millions of eyes. These 2 eyes also blink. How can we really see the form of Krishna? Right? So again, that mood of nimesha is there. Okay. Next verse. Text 8.
Laghuni vai samanata dasha pancha chanadika te dve muhurta prahara sadyama saptava nirnam.
15 lagus make one nadika, which is also called a danda. 2 dandas make one muhurta, and 6 or 7 dandas make 1/4 of day or night, according to the human calculation. Thank you.
Okay, so what all we have? Dasha Pancha Laguni. So Dasha Pancha means 10 and 5. Dasha, 10, 15. So 15 of Lagu make a Nadika, which is also known as Danda. Right? Danda. Then two of the Nadikas, Dvi Nadika, makes one Muhurt. So Muhurt we have heard many times. Okay. Where have you heard the word Muhurt?
Katwangamari.
Yes, Katwanga Maharaj, one Muhurt, right? We heard that, yes. Okay. And then he says one Muhurt, and further he says then Prahara, right? He says further Prahara. So he says one Prahara is 6 or 7 dandas. Why 6 or 7 dandas? I mean, this is so accurate calculation of time, right? So why it would say like 6 or 7 dandas? Can someone think about this? So 15 lagus, 1 nadika, which is also known as danda. 2 dandas, 1 murut. 6 or 7 dandas make 1/4 of a day or night according to human calculation. This is just, you can think about this. It's not so much to do with Shastra.
Like
Just
day and night is different in winter and summer seasons.
exactly. Because the time of the day and night changes, right? Now we are going to get longer days, shorter nights, right? So that is so basically if it is a longer day, then it is 7. Then it is 7 of the dandas. If it is shorter in winter, it is 6 of the dandas. Right? So basically, what do we say? December 21st and June 21st, right? The equinox, right? So on December 21st, it will be 6 dandas. On June 21st, they will be 7 dandas, right? So that's how we see. Okay. And then further, the last one, he says 1/4 of a day, right? So 6 or 7 dandas make 1/4 of the day, and that is known as Yama. Right? Yamaha is 1/4 of a day, according to human calculation. Right? So according to human calculation, 1/4 of a day is Yama. Okay. Is there some more reference on Muhurt in the chat? Oshana, there's a reference of Madhya 2:30 a. Was that verse, Mataji? What's the translation there, Shana?
So the translation is if by chance such a moment comes when I see once again Shri Krishna, then I shall worship those seconds, moments, and hours with flower garlands and pulp of sandalwood decorated with all kinds of jewels and ornaments.
Oh, wow, such a beautiful verse.
পূর্ণ যদি কোনো ক্ষণ করে কৃষ্ণ দর্শন তবে সেই ঘাটের ক্ষণফল দিয়া মাল্য চন্দন নানা রত্ন আভরণ অলঙ্কৃত করিম সকল.
Oh, almost sounds like a bhajan, Which who's saying this? Gopis?
No, this is
Chapter is this?
chapter 2, ecstatic manifestations.
Oh, yeah. Okay, yeah. This is when Krishna's Kaviraj Goswami gives a summary of the Ante Leela, how Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is
How
experienced.
it is going to happen further. Yeah.
Okay, wonderful. Okay, text 9.
Dvadasharda-palomanam chaturangulai svarnamashai kritachidram yavat prashta jalakrutam.
Hare Krishna. The measuring part of one nadika or danda can be prepared with a 6 phala weight, 14 ounce pot of copper, in which a hole is bored with a gold probe weighing 4 masa and measuring 4 fingers long. When the pot is placed on water, the time before the water overflows in the pot is called one danda.
It's like so amazing. Like, okay, so what is this? He's saying, how do you calculate danda? So you have to take a copper pot. But what should be the measurement of a copper pot? 6 palas, right? So that is dwadasha ardha, half of dwadasha. And dwadasha is 12, half of that is 6. So 6 palas is the weight of copper. Take a pot and then you use a gold needle. And how should the gold needle be? 4 fingers long, right? And it should weigh 4 masas. And with that, you make a hole in that copper pot. Okay. And now you put that copper pot in water. The time it takes for the water to overflow from that copper pot is equal to 1 danda. And that's how you calculate that time of 1 danda. And then twice of that would be one more, and so on. Right? So
It
Prabhupada.
should be practical class.
Yes, Mataji, maybe you can get a nice spot for us and then you can do a demonstration.
Yes.
But it's so interesting that it says, Prabhupada makes this point in the purport, that the probe, that that needle should not be more than 4 masa. That means not longer than 4 fingers. Now one may say, like, when you're using a needle to pierce, even if it's 5, what does it matter? He says, no. If you're using 5, or if you're using, instead of gold, a silver, then the hole will be actually bigger. I mean, it's like so precise, so precise, right? If the weight is more, or the hole larger, then the pot will sink quickly. If the weight is less and the hole is smaller, pot will sink slowly. So then it's not accurate. So it has to be exactly. So Prabhupada in the purport says, hence in Bhagavatam, it appears that in days of Vedic civilization, there was no lack of knowledge in physics, chemistry, higher mathematics. We talk of we are advanced. See this. This is real advancement, right? Okay. So this is one danda. How do you measure? Okay. Text then.
Yamaschatvaro Martyanam Ahani Ubhe Paksha Pancha Dashahani Shukla Krishnascha Manada.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. It is calculated that there are 4 praharas, which are also called yamas, in the day and 4 in the night of the human being. Similarly, 15 days and nights are a fortnight. And there are 2 fortnights, white and black, in a month.
So we came up to a point in the previous verse where we talked of how the day is divided into 4 praharas and night also into 4 praharas. So further it says, Yamasa Chatvara. So it says, then 3 hours, okay, Chatvara multiplied by 4, right? It's calculated there are 4 praharas, which are also called yamas in the day, and 4 in the night. Similarly, 15 days and nights are a fortnight, right? So they are called Shukla and Paksha, right? This you must have heard, right? So we are in Shukla now, the Shukla period, or we are in Paksha, that is white or black. So that is, the moon waning and waxing of the moon. Based on that, 15 days are divided. So that is Paksha Pancha Dasha. Okay. I remember one more about Muhurt. I don't think this is Bhagavatam. I think it is in one of the other books where it says when Kaliya pastime was taking place, and when when Lord Krishna jumped into the water and he created disturbance to attract Kaliya's attention, and then Kaliya it actually captured Krishna in the coils, right? And then all the Brajvasis had actually come to the bank. And when they saw Krishna captured among the coils of Kaliya, and he was there for 1 muhurt, so 45 minutes or up to 1 hour, basically, here this guy, he was there. But when he was seeing that the Brajvasis are feeling so much anxiety that they're going to give up their life, they said, okay, time to actually destroy Kaliya or defeat Kaliya. And so there are some more we see. Okay. So now let's go further. Text 11.
Tayo sammuchayo masa pitrinam tad aharanisham dvota vritu sat ayanam dakshinam chotaram divi. Kushalya Mataji.
Yes, Hare Krishna. Translation. The aggregate of 2 fortnights is 1 month, and that period is 1 complete day and night for the Pita planets. 2 of such months comprise 1 season, and 6 months comprise 1 complete movement of the sun from south to north. Hare Krishna.
Okay, so 2 fortnights, 15 days is 1 month, right? 15 days is 1 month. And then that period, so that 1 month is equal to 1 day and night of the Pita planets. So how we talk of different dimensions, right? So for the Pita planets, it is actually equal to 1 day and night. That whole 1 month is 1 day and night. And then 2 such months comprise 1 season, right? So in a Vedic system, we have 6 seasons, right? Each of them 2 months, right? And then in 6 months, the sun moves from what? Uttarayan to Dakshinan. So we also know, we'll come further in the 5th canto, when we read, it's almost like an axis. It's moving from north to south, diagonally, right? From one end to the other, right? So that's the movement. So from 6 months it takes for the sun to move from the northern to the southern point. Where did we read about this? Bhagavatam 1st canto. Who was waiting for the sun to move to the northern hemisphere?
Bhishma.
So Bhishma. Okay, text 12.
Ayane chahani prahur vatsaro dvadasha smritaha samvatsara shatam rinam paramayur nirupitam.
2 solar movements make 1 day and night of the demigods, and that combination of day and night is 1 complete calendar year for the human being. The human being has a duration of life of 100 years.
So previously we read Pita. How much is a month of the Pita planets?
15 days.
Oh, sorry. How much is 1 day and night of the Pita planet? Is equal to 1 month for the human beings, right? And here further is saying 2 solar moments. So 2 6 months period is 1 day and night for the demigods. So Swargaloka. So Swargaloka, their 1 day and night, that period is equal to 1 year for us, right? So 1 day is equal to 6 months for us. 1 day of demigods is 6 months for us, right? And then these 12 months, Vatsara Dwadasha, is equal to 1 year for us. And some Vatsara Shatam, right? Shatam again, 100. 100 years is basically the lifespan for Nrinam, the human beings, right? So this is the lifespan of human beings is around 100 years. Now this word Samvatsara will come later. So just remember this word will come later. It will be described that how this refers to the solar years, right? Solar years. So 100. Okay. 13.
Graharkshatar chakrasta paraman vadina jagat samvatsara vasanena paryeta nimisho vibhuhu. Gopinath Acharya.
Influential stars, planets, luminaries, and atoms all over the universe are rotating in their respective orbits under the direction of the Supreme, represented by eternal Kala.
So here it says Griha. So once we made the point in the previous verse that 100 years. But even the years are actually calculated different for different luminary objects. So when we say 100 years for us, that is referring to the Samvatsara. Samvatsara is the orbit of the sun. So when the sun goes around its orbit, that is actually 1 year. That is 365 days for us, which is 100 years of that is our lifespan. But then there is other Parivatsara. Parivatsara is the time it takes Jupiter to go around its orbit. And that is equal to 11.87 years for us. So that is Subodhini. Vatsara is actually the time it takes for 27 constellations to go around its orbit. That's 324 days. Anuvatsara, moon, 327.6 days. Ida Vatsara, other constellation, 360 days. Right? So for different luminaries and planets, they rotate around their axis, and that calculation is different. So when we refer to 100 years for us, it is referring to Samvatsara, which is the sun. Okay. And okay, let's continue. Text 14.
Samvatsara parivatsara ida vatsara evacha anuvatsaro vatsarascha viduraivam prabhashyate.
There are 5 different names of the orbit of sun, moon, stars, and luminaries in the firmament, and they each have their own samvatsara.
Yeah. So this is basically, I covered this verse. So now if you see the chart, I basically said, so 5 different names of the orbits are there. One for the sun, moon, stars, and luminaries. And then they each have their own samvatsara, right? So the chart which I shared, right? Everyone has Subodhini, right? Do I need to share my screen? Anyone does not have Subodhini? Okay. So I don't need to share. Okay, let's continue. There's one point Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur is actually saying that we consider 100 years, like the 100 times the sun goes around the orbit, is actually our lifespan, human beings' lifespan. Right? Now, hence, sun is doing what? With the rising and setting of sun, the lifespan of the human beings is taken away. Right? And where is that verse where we read that both by the rising and the setting of sun, the sun, rising and sun, the lifespan is taken off of everyone except who?
Ayu Harati.
Wonderful. Thank you. Ayur Harati, why Pumsam? So Ayur
Yes.
Harati. Ayu is taken away for the Pumsam. Udyan Astam, right? Rising and setting of the sun. Tasyarte tat Shanonita. So Shanaha, we read Shana, right? One of the units of time. Shana, again we have that point here. Tasyarte tat Shanonita, that unit of time, Uttama Shloka Vartayam. Except for those who are always discussing every moment, every Shana. What are they doing? They are glorifying Krishna. For them, lifespan is not taken away. But for everyone else, lifespan is taken away. Prabhupada also in the purport, he actually quotes the verse from Srimad Bhagavatam, which says, Yash chakshuresha savita sakala grahana Raja samasta suramurti ashesha teja yasyagra brahmata samrata kala chakro govindam adipurusham tamaham bhajami. What does that say? It says every day when we see the sun, we should meditate on this verse. I've seen devotees do this. They see the sunrise, immediately they fold their hands and say, Yat chakshur esha savita sakalagrana. What does that mean? The sun is who? It's the eye of the Lord, right? Yat chakshur esha, chakshu, right? Savita sakalagrana. And then Raja samasta suri murti ashesha teja. So that basically means the sun is the king of all the planets, is full of infinite effulgence. And it's the eye of Krishna, right? And then it says Yasyagra, yes, Agyaya means order. By whose order Brahmati Samrata Kala Chakra. By whose order the sun is actually moving in its Kala Chakra, right? Kala Chakra, the wheel of time. I worship that Lord. So I adore the Lord Govinda, in pursuance of whose order the sun is actually moving on the Kala Chakra. Can anyone, when you talk of Kala Chakra, is there somewhere where we have seen a Kala Chakra?
Mahabharata, Ramayana, Vishnu Puran, Shiva Puran, all the serials.
I know about others, at least Mahabharata I've seen. Like, when you see Mahabharata, who is narrating the story? It is Kala, and hence the Kala says, okay, now we are discussing this, what is happening in the palace between Vidura and Dhritarashtra. But now let's move the scene and let's see what's happening to the Pandavas in the forest, right? And then he's describing all these episodes. And it's Kala. I'm Kala, right? So based on time, all that movements are actually happening. Okay, 15.
Yashrija Shaktim Urudo Vasayan Sashaktya Pumso Brahmaya Dividhavati Bhuta Bhedaha Kala Kyayaya Gunamayam Kratubhir Vitanvams Tasmai Balim Bharata Vatsara Panchakaya.
Hare Krishna. O Vidura, the sun enlivens all living entities with his unlimited heat and light. He diminishes the duration of life of all living entities in order to release them from their illusion of material attachment. And he enlarges the path of elevation to the heavenly kingdom. He thus moves in the firmament with great velocity, and therefore everyone should offer him respects once every 5 years. with all ingredients of worship. Once every 5 years.
Yeah. So what does this mean? So basically, having described the sun's axis, like Samvatsara, that's the year of the sun. Now he says how the sun actually affects all the jivas. Right? He says, here, Srijya, creation, Shaktim, right? As Prabhupada says, the seeds. So it is the sun who invigorates the seeds of creation, or all living entities. It is the sun, like when you wake up in the morning. When the sun rises, we feel enlivened. Unless we are too much in tamoguna, right? Then we are like, oh, why is the sun rising? Just a little bit, one more snooze alarm, right? But naturally, when the sun rises, previously they didn't have alarm clocks, right? In the villages, sun rises, they feel enlivened, energized, and say, okay, now is the time to get into action, right? So, by the rising of the sun, the Shaktim, the seeds of creation, the living entities, they are actually invigorated, right? Swashaktya, by his own energy, he is actually enlivening all living entities. And second point, he said, Abramaya, he actually dissipates the darkness, right? He dissipates the darkness for all living entities. Dhavati moves, and then he moves. So Prabhupada makes a point. He enlarges the path of elevation to the heavenly kingdom. So this one, maybe someone has more information about this, but there are yogis who actually travel on the sunshine, right? You have heard of this? The yogis actually, they travel to different planets through the sun rays, and hence the point here, he actually enlarges the path of elevation to Swargaloka. So they travel through the sun to actually Swargaloka. So he actually enlarges the path for those who want to go to Swargaloka, right? And then further he said, he destroys the confusion of all men, that Abramaya. And how does Krishna destroy the confusion of all men? Oh, sorry. How does the sun destroy the confusion of all men?
By clearing the darkness, so you can see everything in order, where everything is, what
Okay.
is you.
Yes, so that is one point. But second point?
He is reducing the age of everyone.
Exactly. Because of the sun, we are growing old. Like yesterday, we were discussing this point that, when 30, 35, like just on the car dashboard, you drive the car without oil change, what comes up? Check engine, sign comes up, right? Warning signs keep coming up. Tire pressure low, warning sign. Similarly, as we get 35, 40, all the warning signs show up, right? And then what happens? We realize I'm trying to enjoy, but now warning signs are coming up. That means what? I should do something else. If I'm just spending my life just like animals, eating, sleeping, having good food, defending, all those things, then these warning signs are coming. Soon I have to give up everything. Let me actually think of higher questions of life. Why am I here? Why do I have to grow to old age? All those things, right? So that way, even the sun is actually decimating the darkness, right? Hence, it says Balim, with the ingredients of offering, Tasmai, one should actually worship. Vatsara Panchakaya, every 5 years, one should actually worship the sun. Now, so I was doing a little research of why it says once in 5 years. Does anyone have any idea about this? So one point Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur actually mentions that once in 5 years, because previously we read 5 different types of years, right? For the sun, Jupiter, the luminaries, right? The moon. So we different this. So he said once every 5 years to set all the 5 years into motion, we offer. That's one I found from Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur explaining once in 5 years. But anyone else has any other points on this? Once every 5 years. I'm sure there is a point maybe in one of the Surya Siddhanta or one of those other books, but this is what I could find. Right? So we worship the sun. The main point is we worship the sun because he actually takes away, dissipates the darkness. He actually enlivens all living entities and opens the path to heaven. Okay. So this is one section of the chapter. Okay. So any comments, any points up to this point? Questions?
Prabhu, gopis also worshipped sun god.
Yes, gopis also worship sun god. Yes. I have the stories of how Radharani does Surya Puja. That is in Little Krishna, in you have seen that DVD. There is this whole everyone has seen that? Little Krishna, everyone has seen? No? You should see Little Krishna. It's so nice, so nicely made. It's like according to our, our Shastra. So in that they say how all the gopis, they are actually going to do Surya Puja. And then Krishna, he actually dresses himself like the priest. And he says like, oh, I am your priest. I am going to do your Surya Puja for you. Right? And that way he takes away all the sweet, like milk and the sweets that the gopis brought. And they say like, I am the priest. I am doing a Surya Puja. Give me everything. Right? And that way Krishna takes away all the food of the milk offerings of the gopis. Right? Yes.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, I really like the point you said that how we have this mode of separation from the devotees association. Oh, I didn't get devotee association from so many days. Yeah.
Any other points?
So
we
I
can,
was just wondering.
I was just going to say that we can feel separation from devotee association, separation from a seva. That my seva, like Krishna, by by mercy of Prabhupada, each one of us, we have certain services that are like maybe most dear to us, or we feel like, okay, this is what Prabhupada wants us to do. And if you're not engaged in a service, we feel separation that, oh, I'm not doing the seva. Yes, Padre.
I was also thinking that, Prabhu, like everywhere we are hearing about Lava, Namesha, Shana, Muhurta. But what, I mean, Lavamatra Sadhu Sangha Sarva Siddhi hai, but where is that Sarva Siddhi happening to me? Like, what could be that barrier, Like, how much, like, even for, I'm getting like, for Sadhu Sangha, we go and like, for 5-6 hours, pure association, standing right at their feet when they danced, as you always mention that verse from Amrish Maharaj, that the renu of their lotus feet falls on our body and we become saffron, also saffron dust. What is the barrier? Like what? It's
So actually, it's
how much
not.
barriers do I have actually? So that's what I was trying.
So it's actually, not so much of like in the sense that it's not so much of a barrier. The point is, lava matra means as soon as one comes in contact with a devotee, that's the start of his spiritual life. That means he'll attain perfection. Like how Prabhupada explains in Nectar of Instruction. Once who starts his spiritual journey, comes in contact with pure devotee, it may take some time, but for sure he'll be dragged to success. Success will be there. If he is a little bit slow because of his anarthas and all these barriers, he may take a longer time to achieve success, but the start of the journey is success is started. The journey has started to success. So that love matra. But also Chaitanya Charitamrita makes the other shloka, right? What is that? Krishna Bhakti Janma Mula Hoya Sadhu Sangha. Right? And the next line goes, Krishna Prema Janme Teno Puna Mukhya Anga. Then what does this mean? Krishna Bhakti Janma Mula. Hoya Sadhu Sangha. So even that love matra, what is happening? Krishna Janma Mula. Krishna Bhakti Janma Mula. That bhakti is, okay, start. The seed is planted. Now how much we take care of the seed is still based on our anartha. And hence the second side says, Krishna Preme Janma. So Krishna Bhakti Janma, Krishna Preme Janma, Teno Punaha Mukhya Anga. So even when attains love of Godhead, what is the main Mukhya Anga? Again, Sadhu Sangha. So Sadhu Sangha starts the journey, Sadhu Sangha maintains the journey, and even when attains perfection, still Sadhu Sangha is the Mukhya Anga. Right? So the translation goes, the root cause of devotional service to Lord Krishna is association with advanced devotees. Even when one's dormant love for Krishna awakens, association with devotees is still most essential. So this is Chaitanya Charitamrita. I don't know what's number. You can look it up. Krishna Bhakti Janma Mula Hoya Sadhu Sangha. That's the point. Okay. Any other points?
I looked up how long it takes to blink, and it takes between 0.1 and 0.4 seconds. And we blink around 14 to 17 times a minute.
14 to 17 times a minute. Okay. Nice to know. Okay. And imagine, like, when we blink, how many of us even notice a blink? Right? We just blink and imagine that love of the gopis, that they're blinking and they're saying like, oh, how can we take darshan of Krishna? One blink in like 14 times, right? So one in the 14 blinks is like one blink, and I cannot take darshan of Radha Golakan. Who is this creator? Who's created this eyes that blink? Imagine that love.
Prabhu, the creator is Krishna only, right? So the gopis are indirectly cursing him.
And that verse it is a Brahmaji, but yeah, one way is like yeah. Okay. Okay.
Prabhu, I have a question. So, like, when we have Sukhdev Goswami speaking Parishit Maharaj about Ramayan, he says, you already know this pastime, I will just give you a briefing, right? So, all these things, I'm 100% like, they don't speak in general, like, okay, I'll see you at 7 o'clock morning, they don't use English, right? So, they would be using Labha, Muhurta, I'll see you at Prahara, or whatever. So Vidura would be already aware of all these numbers, right? So, I mean, could Maitreya Rishi could have said that, since you're already aware of the different divisions of time, I would define you the Mahata and the greatest, the smallest. But he goes through individually. Could you find any reference to find out what is the significance of going to these details?
Yeah. So the point is towards the end of the chapter, we'll see. Why is he going through all this detail? He's starting from a Shana, from a Paramanu, right? The lowest unit of time, and he's going all the way Anu and then all these times. And then he'll go to the largest time. And then the conclusion of the chapter is that largest time, which is the time from the creation and dissolution. What is that? That is just one breath of. So finally, it comes to a point of greatness of Mahavishnu. Why, if this was not so important, why is it there? Why is Vidura and like imagine Parikshit Maharaj, 7 days. So I'm gonna say, I have only 7 days. Why are you talking physics? I don't want to give a physics exam right now. Just talk about Krishna. But he said these topics are also important. To realize how do you connect a time to Krishna's time. And I'll make some more points when we come to that last part, to actually realize it. So let's take a quick break. We'll come back and, we'll go, remaining chapter also is all technical, but we'll go a little fast, to complete this chapter today. So let's take a break for 5 minutes and come back. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Hare
Okay, Hare Krishna, everyone. So please come back. We'll continue this chapter. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Okay, so everyone please come back. So let's continue text number 16. Right, so now Vidura is going to ask further questions, and we'll see what is the next question Vidura is going to ask. Okay, text 16.
Vidura Uvacha Pitrideva Manusyanam Ayu Param Idam Smritam Paresham Gatim Achakshva Yesyu Kalpad Bahir Vidaha. Vrindavan Vilasanima.
Can I read, Mataji?
Yeah, go ahead.
On translation, Vidura said, I now understand the life durations of the residents of the Pita planets and heavenly planets, as well as that of the human beings. Now kindly inform me of the durations of life of those greatly learned living entities who are beyond the range of a kalpa.
It's so amazing, like Vidura, like if you see the questions that he asked, I was thinking about this point. Like he should be our example in the enthusiasm to ask questions. Like one after another, like, okay, list of questions. Okay, answer partial. Another list, and it goes on and on. So now what is his question? Now, previously we read, right? He says, Vidura says, Pitra, Deva, Manushya, and they are Ayuhu. Did we read about these three? What was the Ayu of the Pita planets? Anyone remembers? Right? We read that 1 month for us is 1 day and night for Pita planets. We read that, right? And then second is Deva, heavenly planets. What did we read? 6 months for us is 1 day of the heavenly planet, right? So 1 day and night for the heavenly planets is actually 1 year for us, right? Second. Then third, we read Manushya. Manushya we have been reading, right? So we have already read the Ayu of these three. Now I want to know about the Ayu of those who are Paresham, who are superior living entities, who are beyond Bahi Kalpa. Those are beyond the range of Kalpa. That means what? See, Brahma, in the morning, he actually, he forgets everything. He has to do austerity, get the knowledge, does the creation. In the night, when he goes to sleep, that is one Kalpa, 1 day of Brahma. But there are living entities who are beyond this influence of the day of Kalpa. Because what happens at the night of Brahma, when Brahma goes to sleep? Right?
Dissolution.
Partial dissolution. So water is filling all the way up to what? Swargaloka. But there are planets beyond Swargaloka. What is that? Maharloka, Janaloka, Tapaloka, Brahmaloka. So devastation is happening up to Swargaloka, but these 4 planets, they are not destroyed at the night of Brahma. So what about their living, their life? What is their Ayu? That is Vidura's question. I talked of the Ayu of demigods, the Pitas, the human beings. We have talked of all them. What about the Ayu of those who are Bahi Kalpa? Okay, next verse. 17.
Bhagavan Veda Kalasya Gatim Bhagavato Nanu Vishwam Vichakshate Dhira yoga radhena chakshusha.
O spiritually powerful one, you can understand the movements of eternal time, which is the controlling form of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Because you are a self-realized person, you can see everything by the power of mystic vision. Hare Krishna.
So whenever there's a question, there has to be what? A glorification. Maitreya Rishi, you know this. And why do you know this? And he's saying, Bhagavan, you are Bhagavan. You are so spiritually powerful. You know everything, right? Veda and what is it? Kalasya gatim bhagavataha. You can understand this kala, the movement of eternal time. Right? Gati means movement, movement of eternal time, which is what? Bhagavataha, which is actually the controlling form of the Supreme Person. So it is through kala that living entities is controlling everything in this material manifestation. And then further he said, actually, as a matter of fact, Nanu, as a matter of fact, Vishwam Vikshate, you can see everything, the entire Vishwa you can see. Why? Because you are Yoga Ruddhena. Your eyes are, you're wearing what kind of glasses? What are the different kinds of glasses we see in our Shastras? One is the glass of Jnana Chakshu. Right?
Shastra.
Yes,
One,
Jnana
yeah,
Chakshu.
Jnana Chakshu or Chashra Chakshu, right? Shastra Chakshu, right? Sorry, Shastra Chakshu. So Jnana Chakshu, Shastra Chakshu. 11th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, what is the different glasses one he gives to Arjun?
Divya Chakshu.
Divya Chakshu, right? Divya Chakshu. So here we are seeing that you have Yoga Radhena Chakshu. Right? How they have different companies for making glasses. We have at least three we know. Jnana Chakshu or Chastra Chakshu, Divya Chakshu, and then here Yoga Ruddhena Chakshu. Why is that? That is the power of mystic vision. Because you have that mystic potency, mystic vision, you can see actually the whole universe. You can see the movement of time, and hence you can understand everything. Therefore, you tell me what is the question that I have asked. Right? So Prabhupada in purport, he says that those who have reached this highest perfectional stage of mystic power, they can see everything in past, present, and future. They are Trikalagyas. Right? Where do we see an example in the first canto of a personality who could see in the future? He saw in the future and then he did something.
Vyasadeva seeing the
Yes,
condition of Kali-yuga.
Vyasadeva saw the condition of Kali Yuga and immediately took the Vedas. He said like, oh, divide into four. And then that's how our Srimad Bhagavatam came, right? So these higher planets, the people in the higher planet systems, they are Trikalagya. They know past, present, and future, right? And similarly, Prabhupada says, devotees of the Lord can very easily understand the science of Krishna as well as material and spiritual creations without difficulty. Why? They don't need to practice yoga siddhi to understand all this. Krishna will reveal all this knowledge in our heart. We don't have to worry. Sorry. I don't have to worry, like Krishna will reveal all the knowledge, right? A devotee knows everything by the mercy of the Lord, right? So that's the point. Like, where do we see this point? That material and spiritual, you'll get both this knowledge. Bhagavad Gita. Which chapter? Krishna says, now I'm going to speak to you. By this, you will know everything, material and spiritual.
7th chapter.
7th chapter.
Numinous and
That Shunu. And then what is it, Mataji? Go ahead.
the numinous knowledge of the universe.
Numinous and phenomenal.
Knowledge.
Hearing this, you will know everything numinous and phenomenal that is to be known. Nothing further needs to be known, right? So the Lord in the heart, He will, by His mercy, all this knowledge will be revealed. Okay. Now, what is the answer to Vidura's question? 18.
Text 18. Maitreya Vacha Ritam Treta Dvaparam Cha Kalishcheti Chaturyugam Divyar Dvadashabhir Varshai Savadanam Nirupitam. Vasudeva Prabhu. Or next.
Yeah, next, because I don't have text right now in front.
Hare Krishna. 18 Maitreya said, O Vidura, the 4 millenniums are called the Satya, Treta, Dwapara, and Kali Yugas. the aggregate number of years of all these combined is equal to 12,000 years of the demigods. Hare Krishna.
Mhm. So now he's saying, if you see a Sanskrit, it says Krita, Treta, Dwapar, Kali. So these are the four yugas. We know this, right? Krita referring to the Satya Yuga, right? Satya Yuga, Dwapar Yuga, Treta Yuga, Kali Yuga. Iti Chatu Yugam. These are the four millenniums. Daivaha Dwadashibhihi. And what is the sum total of the time of these four yugas? It is equal to 12,000 years of the demigods. Okay. Now it is a lot of maths and numbers. So be awake. You'll see lots of zeros now. Okay, so 12,000 years. Okay. Now, this includes the Yuga Sandhya. So Prabhupada talks about this transitional periods which are called Yuga Sandhya. So what does this mean? So anyway, we'll come to this, but 12,000 years of the demigods. Someone is good in maths here? But you could do the maths, you know. So we already know how much is uh, 1 day and night of the demigods. How much is it for us? 1 year. 1 year for us. So 12,000 years of the demigods, how much it will come for us? It actually comes to 4.32 million years. The sum total of the four yugas is 4.32 million years. Okay. Okay, next verse.
Chatvari trini dve chakyam Kritadishu yatakramam Sankyatani sahasrani Dvigunani shatani cha.
Can I read, Mother?
Yes, yes.
The duration of the Satya millennium equals 4,800 years of the demigods. The duration of the Treta millennium equals 3,600 years of the demigods. The duration of the Dwapar millennium equals 2,400 years, and that of the Kali millennium is 1,200 years of the demigods.
Okay, so he says Chatvari referring to 4, Trini, 3, Dvi, 2, Ekam, 1, Kritadishu in the Satya Yuga, Yatha Kramam subsequently, Sankhyatani numbering, Sahasrani, Dvi Gunani. Sahasrani means 1,000, Dvi Gunani means twice, Satani, so that is 12,000 years. So what does this mean? That if you see Satya Yuga, so 4, 3, 2, 1 multiplied by 12, what's it? 1,200 years, right? So basically, Kali Yuga is how much? 1,200 years of the demigods. Dwapar Yuga is what? 1,200 multiplied by 2. Treta Yuga is what? 1,200 multiplied by 3, right? And then Satya Yuga is 1,200 multiplied by 4. So basic maths. Right? So you see, and so he says Dvi Gunani Sahasrani. So that is 1,200. And that multiplies. Subsequently, he says, it becomes 4, 3, 2, 1. You multiply, you will get the right time. Okay. Further. Next 20.
Sandhya Sandhyam Shayorya Antar Yakala Shatas Sankhyayo Tam Evahur Yugam Tajgya Yatra Dharmo Vidhiyate.
Hare Krishna. The transitional periods before and after every millennium, which are a few hundred years as aforementioned, are known as Yuga Sandhyas, or the conjunctions of two millenniums, according to the expert astronomers. In those periods, all kinds of religious activities are performed.
Okay, so what is Yuga Sandhya? Right? So this verse is talking about the Yuga Sandhya. So in between the different yugas, there is something known as Yuga Sandhya. So let me just share my screen. So maybe you have seen this chart before. Okay, you can see my screen. So okay, so here, so lifespan of Brahma, right? So let's see, where should I start off with? So let's do the last thing here, right? So he says Kali Yuga. Salyuga 432,000 years. And how many years is that of the demigods? 1200 years. 1200 years of demigods, right? Dwapar Yuga, we read previous verse, says 1200 multiplied by 2. Treta Yuga, 1200 multiplied by 3. And Satya Yuga, 1200 multiplied by 4, right? Now, in between those yugas, you see this marking here. Can you see a pointer? Right? So, in between the yugas, there is Yuga Sandhya, right? A period of time which actually joins the two yugas together, right? So, here you can see Yuga Sandhya is mentioned. Now, what is the time period of each Yuga Sandhya? So, based on that age, right? So, if you say Kali Yuga is 1200 years of demigods. Divide by 10 is how much? 120 years. So, 1/10 of the time is the Yuga starting, and 1/10 of the time is the Yuga ending. And similarly for Dwapar Yuga. So, Dwapar Yuga is 2400 years of the demigods. So divide by 10, 240. So 240 years here, 240 years at the end of Dwapar Yuga. Similarly, Treta and so on. So this verse is saying this transitional periods before and after every millennium, which are few hundred years, right? So either it is 120 years, 240 years, 360 years, or 480 years. Are known as Yuga Sandhya. And expert astronomers, what do they say? That the period between these Yuga Sandhyas is where the Yuga Dharma is actually practiced. Right? So, right. So that's the point. All kinds of religious activities are performed. Now, this is a question for research. Everyone is with me or I'm completely lost? Yuga Sandhyas, you understand, is 1/10 of the period of that Yuga is starting and 1/10 is the end. Right? Now, there's a question of research that you can see. Right now, are we in Yuga Sandhya?
I think so,
So
Prabhu.
we are in the Pradamapada, right? Pradamapada of Kali Yuga. So we're already in the first
First part.
one.
That's 10%, right?
So you can calculate actually. So Kali Yuga is 1200 years of the demigods. So divide by 10. So 120 years is the first Yuga Sandhya. So in terms of years, so years is 432,000. So divide by 10, that is, so 43,200 years is the Sandhya for Kali Yuga. 43,000 years is the Sandhya. And that, so the point of research I want to say, so when we say Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appeared 500 years in before, right? And now how many years have we passed in Kali Yuga? We say 5,000 years, right? After Krishna left, then Kali Yuga began. So where is the Yuga Sandhya? Is it starting like Kali Yuga when we say started after Krishna departed? Did the Yuga Sandhya of Kali Yuga start? If that is true, then we are still in the Yuga Sandhya of Kali Yuga. So, anyway, someone knows more about this?
So, Prabhu, when Parikshit Maharaj saw Kali, that is definitely arrival of Kali Yuga, right? I
But
mean, when Krishna left,
in the Yoga Sandhya, right?
right? That is so the time when Krishna is leaving Pravas and all this pastimes is happening. This is all already in Sandhya of Dwapar. At the end of
Dwapar?
At the end of Dwapar, right? Because Kali has not started until unless Krishna departs. That is the Bhagavatam verse, right? As soon as Krishna departs, the Bhagavatam descends.
Kali Yuga starts. But if Kali Yuga starts, then the Sandhya, then we are still in the Sandhya period, right?
Yeah, then yes, of course we are in Sandhya. Otherwise, how it is Satyuga? As it is, this verse is saying that the activities of Dharma Prof. So this is the golden age of Kali Yuga. So Sandhya is.
So actually, one point Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur in this verse commentary, he says that the Yuga Dharmas are more prominent in the Yuga Sandhya.
Yes.
So the Yuga Dharma is chanting of the holy name, right? So now for the next 10,000 years, out of this, what do you say? 43,000 years. Oh, no, what did you say? Yeah, 43,000 years, right? That's the Yug Sandhya. So out of these 43,000 years, the 10,000 years is going to be Satya Yuga in this Kali Yuga Sandhya. Right? So the starting is known as Sandhya, the ending is known as Sandhyamsha. Sandhyamsha, that later period. Right? So that way we are in the Sandhya of Kali Yuga. Okay.
So, Prabhu, that means at the end of the period when the Kali Yuga Sandhya starts, that time also it's more prominent this Yuga Dharma, chanting of the holy name, when the Kali Yuga will be ending.
So it says the Yuga Dharma is more prominent in the Sandhya, in that period. So that first period. And then Kali Yuga begins and it's going to rapidly just go down, down, down until Sandhyamsha. So I think it is, I have to confirm this, that the Kalki avatar, he appears in the Sandhyamsha of Kali Yuga.
Oh, so it's a two different thing, right? Sandhya and Sandhyamsha.
Yeah. So starting is Sandhya, ending is Sandhyamsha. So one way you can say Sandhya of Kali Yuga, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Sandhyamsha, Kalki avatar.
Prabhu, can you confirm if this is true that since Mahaprabhu came in this Kali, there won't be Kalki coming in this Kali Yuga? I have been hearing this quite many times from many people. So I'm like...
Gopinath Prabhu, you're nodding your head. You know something?
Yeah, there has been a lot of articles on this. Yeah, so I think Rompad Maharaj is described and a few other Maharajas also. So there are two aspects. One is, yeah, whether when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu comes, that, as Mataji said, during that phase, yeah, Kalki Avatar doesn't come. But yeah, it's not yet established. I don't know if there's another paper. Okay.
Okay, I can search into this. It's a nice topic to search. Okay, so now let's continue. 21. Everyone okay at this point? You're following? Right? Okay, 21.
Dharmas chatushpan manujan krite samunuvartate sa evanyesha dharmena vyeti padena vardata. O Vidura, in the Satya millennium, mankind properly and completely maintained the principles of religion. But in other millenniums, religion gradually decreased by one part as irreligion was proportionately admitted.
Right. So in the 4 yugas, we have read this Satya Yuga, Chatupad Dharma. The 4 legs of Dharma is still standing. We read in the first canto. And then as the yugas progress, then it says what? Veti. Padena Veti. One of these legs actually keeps reducing. So what are the 4 legs of Dharma? Who knows? Quickly.
Dharma, Shanti,
Satya,
cleanliness. Yeah.
Okay. What is it? Austerity, mercy, truthfulness, cleanliness.
Cleanliness.
That is the first canto. And then these are associated with the 4 regulative principles. We discussed that also, right? So what is the only leg which is actually still like a Dharma, the bull was standing on only one leg in Kali Yuga? Which is that one leg? Truthfulness. Which is also rapidly declining. The only reason that we say, now if you say Kali Yuga, is there truthfulness in this age? You open the news channel, it's all fake news, they say, right? Fake news. So where is truthfulness in this age of Kali Yuga? Even in business dealings, who maintains truthfulness? Right? You go to India, you go to Vrindavan, and you go like, how much is this dhoti? And they'll say like, oh, 1,200 rupees. And then you say like, 1,200 rupees? And you say like, that's a lot. No, I don't want. And you just start walking out. And you say, okay, for you, 1,000 rupees. Come back. Where is truthfulness in this age of Kali Yuga? The reason they say that's truthfulness is because the Shastras are still available. The Shastras are still there. Bhagavad Gita, people have access to Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, Chaitanya Charitamrita. Those truths are still there. And hence we say Kali Yuga, at least that truthfulness. The remaining dealings or lies is prominent. Okay, 22.
Trilokya Yuga Sahasram Bahir Abhramanodinam Tavat Yeva Nishadhata Yanime Lati Vishvasrik.
Outside of the 3 planetary systems, Swarga, Martya, and Patala, the 4 yugs multiplied by 1000 comprise one day on the planet of Brahma. A similar period comprises a night of Brahma in which the creator of the universe goes to sleep.
Right, so this we know, right? What is one day of Brahma? It is 1000 cycles of the 4 yugas. Right? So that's basically this verse is saying that 1000 cycles, yuga, sahasram, 1000 of those is actually the one day of Brahma. And also this says outside of 3, Bahi 3, right? What is the 3? That is basically Swargaloka, Martyaloka, Parthaloka. So what was the question Vidura asked? That tell me the lifespan of those who are not affected by Brahma's day and night, who are not subjected to the partial dissolution. And what are the 4 planetary systems which are not subjected? Mahaloka, Janaloka, Tapaloka, Satyaloka. And he's saying the duration of life. Vidura's question is, what is their age? How long do they live? So here he's saying their age is equal to, their one day is equal to 1000 cycles of those Divya Yugas. So to explain that, he's actually started off by explaining what is the Yugas and how is the Yuga Sandhya and what is the time of the Yuga Sandhya in terms of demigod. And then one day of those people is equal to 1000 of those Divya Yugas. And hence he's answered that question of Vidura. Okay. So much maths, right? Okay, everyone is okay till this one? It's interesting, Prabhupada in the purport, he says, like when Brahma goes to sleep, what dreams does he see? He says, in his sleeping condition, Brahma dreams about Garbhodakshay Vishnu and takes instruction from the Lord for the rehabilitation of the devastated area of space. So interesting. This is not from Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, but sure, Prabhupada found this somewhere. Like, the point that Brahma, like in this, like what we are reading now, Brahma wakes up and he does not know. But there may be some nights when Brahma, even in his dreams, he gets the knowledge and he wakes up and like, oh, I already know how to create. Let me start creation. Right? And so in different days of Brahma, the starting is not the same. Sometimes Brahma is not born on lotus. Only in certain days he's born on a lotus. Right? So that's described further. We'll discuss that. Okay, 23.
Nishavasana arabdho lokakalpo nuvartate yavadinam bhagavato manu bunjam chaturdasha.
After the end of Brahma's night, the creation of the 3 worlds begin again in the daytime of Brahma, and they continue to exist through the life of duration of 14 consecutive Manus, or fathers of mankind.
So one day of Brahma has how many Manus? Chaturdasha. Right? Chaturdasha. So 14 Manus in one day of Brahma. In Bhagavatam, we talk of each of these periods. Like now, the entire Bhagavatam, we are focusing on which Manu? Like our discussion right now is which Manu?
7th.
Swayambhuva Manu. No.
Swayam.
We are like now we are talking about Swayam. We are in the 7th Manu. Right? 7th Manvantara.
Yes.
Bhagavatam's focus is more on the first Manu, Swayambhuva Manu, right? And then from here up to 8th canto is all about the first Manu. And then in 8th canto, he says, oh, okay, let me go quickly. 2nd Manu, 3rd Manu, 4th Manu, 5th Manu, 6th Manu, 7th Manu. We are in the 7th Manu, right? So he quickly goes through that. But we are discussing the first of the 14 of the day of Brahma. Imagine if to that extent we read about the first Manu, Sukdev Goswami would have explained each Manu with that detail. So we have almost 4 cantos for first Manu. And imagine, so we would have like at least 21 cantos just to come to canto number 8 before Krishna's pastime start, right? So one way, imagine having 21 cantos before Krishna's pastime starts. Then if someone wants to sell a Bhagavatam set, they'll say, oh, it has only 100 books. Please take.
Other universes has, right, bro? Other universes has.
Other universes have so much more, yes. Yes. Okay, so let's continue. So 14 Manus in one day of Brahma. Let's continue. What is the period of each Manu? 24.
Swam sankala manur bhunte sadikam yeka saptatim.
Each and every Manu enjoys a life of a little more than 71 sets of 4 millenniums.
Right. So what is a millennium here? What is millennium here?
The yugas, the 4 yugas.
4 yugas, right? So 4 yugas. So one day of Brahma has how many of the 4 yugas? How many?
1000.
1000, right? So now 1000 divided by 14, because 14 manus. So one day of Brahma, 14 manus are there, and 1000 cycles of the 4 yugas. So 1000 divided by 7 is what? Or 1000 divided by 14 is what? Don't do the maths. What's it? Quickly. 71 point something you'll get, right? So basically, each manu is a period of 71 Divya Yugas, or 71 yugas of the 4 cycles. So that's everyone is me. You understand this, right? Any questions?
Yes, Prabhu. So we are talking about day of Brahmaji, right? But what happens to night of the Brahmaji? Still yuga is going on, or there is no creation during the night?
No creation. It's the same time period, right? So day and night is the same time period, but during the night there is no, like, all this manu and all that is not happening. Right?
Oh.
So 71.4. Thank you. Okay, so next continue. 25.
Manvantareshu mannavas tad vamshya rishaya suraha bhavanti chaiva yugapat sureshashchanye chatan.
Hare Krishna. After the dissolution of each and every Manu, the next Manu comes in order, along with his descendants, who rule over the different planets. But the 7 famous sages and demigods like Indra and their followers, such as the Gandharvas, all appear simultaneously with Manu. Hare Krishna.
So what happens when one Manu actually finishes dissolution of every Manu? So between each Manvantara,
14 manus in one day of Brahma, and
yes,
each of
14 manus in one day of Brahma. So each Manvantara, when it actually ends, then what happens in the next Manvantara? There's 6 personalities who actually, 6 personalities who appear. One is, here you see, Manava. So the Manu of each Manvantara is actually there. Like for us, for the first one, it is Swayambhu Manu. Right? Who is our Manu? Vaivashatam Manu. Right? So Swayambhu. So that's Manu. Then he says that Vamshaya is his descendants. Rishaya, the 7 sages. Suraha, the demigods. Right? Then Sura Ishaha. Who is the Isha of all the demigods? Indra. Right? Who is going to be the next Indra? In next Manvantara, who is the next Indra?
Bali Maharaj.
Bali Maharaj.
Bali Maharaj will become the next Indra after this Manu period ends, right? So that is Indra. So, and then Anu, his followers. So all these personalities, actually 8 canto describe. Each Manvantara is like a table. That in first Manvantara, who are the sages? Who is Indra? Who is the demigods? Who is all this? So this is all mentioned. Okay. 26.
Esha Dainandina Sargo Brahmanastrailokyavardhanaha Tiryan Vripitri Devanam Sambhavo Yatra Karma Bhivi.
Translation, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. In the creation, during Brahma's day, the 3 planetary systems, Swarga, Martya, and Patala, revolve, and the inhabitants during the lower animals, human beings, demigods, and pitas appear and disappear in terms of their fruitive activities. Hare Krishna.
So basically, during the day of Brahma, what happens? These 3 planetarians, so Swarga, Martya, and Patala. So beyond that, they are actually fixed, that they are not affected by Brahma's day and night. But during Brahma's day, the remaining, they are revolving. And all the inhabitants, they are actually moving between this based on what? Karma Bihi. Right? So now we are on earth. And based on activities, someone may go to Swarga or go to Patala, right? All those choices are there, but that's all within the day of Brahma. Okay, 27. Any questions? Everyone's okay? We're following the verses. There's no purports also. Okay, 27.
Question about 25.
Yeah.
In the subordinate, it says Manu appears simultaneously, but Manu's descendants appear gradually. What does that mean?
Yeah, so when the when the Manvanta starts, then all these personalities, 7 sages, demigods, Indra, Manu, they appear at the same time. Start of the Manu is just like government is established. When government is established, ministers, cabinet, all those people come, right? And that is basically at that time all this. But Manu's descendants, they don't appear at that time. But simultaneously, as the Manvantara progresses, then the descendants are appearing. And why is this specifically mentioned? Because further we'll read about Swayambhuva Manu and Shatarupa. And then we'll read about 3 daughters, 2 sons. And then we'll read about the descendants. And one of the descendants will be like Dhruva Maharaj, etc., etc. Those they appear not at the initial time, but gradually they appear, the descendants. So, okay. 27? We did 27, right? No, 27.
Manvantareshu Bhagavan Tat Sattvam Samurtibhihi Manvadibhir Idam Vishwam Avat Yudita Purushaha.
In each and every change of Manu, the Supreme Personality of Godhead appears by manifesting his internal potency in different incarnations, as Manu and others. Thus, he maintains the universe by discovered power.
Right. So, in every Manvantara, there is who? See, when we see the different incarnation, there is Leela avatar, there is Yuga avatar, there is also Manvantara avatar. So, there is one incarnation that happens in every Manu. And that's what is referred. And how does the incarnation happen? Sattva. By his own internal potency, the Lord actually appears in every Manu. Right? And that way, he actually Vishwam Udita. He actually maintains Avati. So he maintains the entire universe by his own potencies. Okay. 28.
Ramomatram Upadaya Prati Samruda Vikramaha Kalena Nugata Shesha Aste Tushnim Dinataye.
At the end of the day, under the insignificant portion of the mode of darkness, the powerful manifestation of the universe merges in the darkness of night. By the influence of eternal time, the innumerable living entities remain merged in that dissolution, and everything is silent.
So basically here he's explaining, we read about what happens during the day of Brahma. What happens? We read about the 14 Manus and each Manu, what happens, who appears. So we briefly read about the day of Brahma. Now we are reading about the night of Brahma. So what happens at night? At the end of Brahma's day, right? He actually, so there's 2 things that happen. One is effect of the influence of time, right? So that is influence of time is there, right? Plus it says tamaha matram, the insignificant portion of the mode of darkness. So mode of darkness plus the influence of time. What happens? Pratisa amrudaha. That's a dissolution by Kalagni Rudra. So at the end of Brahma day, then Rudra, he actually does the annihilation. And that form of Rudra, who is actually doing that dissolution, is known as Kala Agni Rudra, Kala Agni Rudra, right? And why Agni? Because he actually creates fire and he burns the 3 lower planetary systems, right? So Swarga, Martya, and Patala. All those are set on fire. Right? All those are set on fire, right? So hence it says Klesha, yeah. So Kalagni Rudra, right? He sets the thing on fire. And then what happens? Ashesha. So so many living entities, what happens to them at the time? They actually merge into Garbhodakshay Vishnu, right? So they actually merge into Garbhodakshay Vishnu. And in that way, the curtain of the scene of Lord's energy actually is drops. Like it's just like, why is that description given? Like just like in a drama scene, between one scene and another, the curtain drops, right? So similarly, at the end of Brahma's day, it is because of this fire, all the living entities are now entering into Garbhodaksha Vishnu. And it's as if the curtain of Lord Krishna's pastimes are dropped, right? And then nighttime, there is nothing happening in this lower three, but upper they are still doing something, which is next verse, right?
Prabhuji, so we read like it is covered with the water also, right, Prabhuji?
That's next. Prabhu. That's next. So first fire, and then something else happens. So 29, let's see.
Tam evan vapidiyante lokabhur adhayastrayah nishamyam anuvrittayam nirmukta shashibhaskaram.
When the night of Brahma ensures, all the three worlds are out of sight, and the sun and the moon are without glare, just as in the due course of an ordinary night.
So basically what happens at the time? So it says tam eva. After the fire, what happens? Then the lokaha apidhyante. Then all these planetary systems, they become out of sight. You cannot see all of them, right? They are become out of sight. And the sun and the moon, they are without glare. Just like at the night time, the sun and moon are there, but there is no presence of sun. So all those planets, they don't see any sun or moon. The glare, their planets, sun and moon is there, but the glare is not there. Right? So Prabhupada says the sun and the moon do not vanish, but they don't exhibit their light. Right? So these three planet systems are dark and they're full of water. Prabhupada explained the aspect of water, which is actually which will come later also. Right? So for the text 31 extra point. So text 30. Let's just do the English.
Okay. Arundhati Mataji, English.
Yes. The devastation takes place due to the fire emanating from the mouth of Sankarshana, and thus great sages like Bhrigu and other inhabitants of Maharloka transport themselves to Janaloka, being distressed by the warmth of blazing fire, which rages through the three worlds below.
Right? Everyone is following what's happening. We are talking of what aspect now? Partial dissolution, right? At the night of Brahma. So first fire, but where does fire come from? From the mouth of Sankarsana. And fire is coming up to which loka? Swargaloka, right? But because it comes to Swargaloka, the people who are just above Swargaloka, though like Bhrigu, who are in Maharloka, they actually feel too hot, right? And they probably don't have good AC systems there. So they actually move to Janaloka. No? So they move higher. It's too hot. They move to Janaloka. And yeah, so that's it. Okay, next verse.
At the beginning of the devastation, all the seas overflow and hurricane winds blow very violently. Thus, the waves of the seas become ferocious, and in no time at all, the three worlds are full of water.
Right. So basically, Prabhupada says the burning happens for 36,000 human years. Our years, 36,000, the whole thing is on fire. After that, the next 36,000 is the whole thing is covered with water. That is a devastation, right? So here at the beginning of devastation, the hurricane winds blow very violently, the waves of the sea become ferocious and then full of water. So we started the discussion by reading how Brahma, who was born, he's seeing all this, and then he's doing the creation. But what happened in his night is basically described all here. Right? Okay. So 72,000 years of annihilation is happening. Right? But this verse actually 31, right? Okay, Prabhupada in the purport, he actually makes this point. 72,000 years of devastation. People forget all these devastations of the world and think themselves happy in the material progress of civilization. So everything is all this devastation is going to happen. If you just think like, oh, I'm happy here, everything is good, everything is being devastated at every moment. And the night of Brahma, there's going to be 36,000 years of fire and 36,000 of years of water. Okay, 32.
The personality of Godhead lies down in the water of the seat of Ananta, with his eyes closed, and the inhabitants of the Janaloka planets offer unto the Lord their glorious prayers with folded hands.
So up to Swargaloka, everyone now is inside Garbhodakshay Vishnu, right? Now this Garbhodakshay Vishnu, he is lying on a seat of Ananta, right? It says here, is laying on the sleep of Ananta, and his eyes closed, right? Why is his eyes closed? He's actually in Yoga Nidra, right? So we discussed this point earlier also, that the sleep of the Lord is not like our sleep. He's actually enjoying Leela even in Yoga Nidra, right? So Yoga Nidra. And what are the inhabitants of Janalok, the higher planetary system, doing? They are offering prayers. They are glorifying the Lord as Garbhodakshay Vishnu. 33.
Translation: Does the process of the exhaustion of the duration of life exist for every one of the living beings, including Lord Brahma? One's life endures for only 100 years in terms of the times and in different planets.
Okay. So basically here it says, so now this 33 to 37 is lifespan of Brahma, right? So we talked of lifespan of the higher planetary system. Now we are coming to lifespan of Brahma. And he says, thus the process of exhaustion of the duration of life exists for all living beings up to Brahma. Because we are talking Brahma's day, Brahma's night, right? So Brahma's 1 month has how many of these days and nights? 30. Brahma's 1 year has how many of these months? 12, right? And Brahma's age is 100 years. So because of the influence of time, not only we at the age of 70, 80, 90, 100 years, we are going to give up our body, but even Brahma has to give up his body at his 100 years. But one's life endures for 100 years in terms of different planets. So Brahma's 100 years is not like our 100 years, but still it is 100 years for him. Right? So Prabhupada in the purport, he says, the longest duration of 100 years, so different living entities have different 100 years, but longest duration is that of Brahmaji. But even though Brahma has the longest time, still there's an expiry date. Brahma has an expiry date. It expires in the course of time, right? So Brahma is also afraid of his death, and thus he performs devotional service to the Lord just to release himself from the clutches of Maya. So interesting, Prabhupada makes the point that even Brahma is fearful. Okay, I'm going to die. Now Brahma is already like 51 years old, right? So he's already like midlife crisis time. And then after that, 100 years, and even he has to leave. Like Brahma has to die, right? So Prabhupada in the, further he makes the point, right? So even humans who have developed a sense of responsibility while away their valuable time without engaging in devotional service to the Lord, they live merrily, unafraid of impending death, and this is the madness of the human society. So what is the madness? Everyone knows that we are going to die. 100 years is the maximum you may live, right? 100 years, we are going to die. But still everyone thinks, oh, we are going to live forever. They live as if they're never going to die. And this is the madness of our civilization. Okay. Text 34.
Hare Krishna. The 100 years of Brahma's life are divided into two parts. The first half and the second half. The first half of the duration of Brahma's life is already over. The second half is now current. Hare Krishna.
So, actually, in the previous verse, Vaishnava Chakravarti Thakur, he also quotes, we read this verse earlier, Bhagavatam 3:9-18. Now we are in 11, right? So 3:9-18, where Brahma actually makes the point. There's a verse which actually says, Yasmad bhivemi aham api dviparadadishyam. He actually says, I fear the aspect of time. So even Brahmaji is actually, I am fearing your aspect of time. So hence Prabhupada makes the point that even Brahma is fearful of death. Right? So now in 34, he says, 100 years of Brahma's life are divided into two parts. First half and second half. So it is known as first Prarabdha and second Parardha. Sorry. Parardha and second Parardha. Right? So two Parardhas, 50 years. Right? So first half of Brahma's life is already over. Second half is now going on. Right? So Brahma, how old is our Brahma? He just celebrated his 50th birthday yesterday. Not our yesterday, Brahma's yesterday. Right? Okay. 35. Imagine in the higher planetary systems, they have birthday celebrations. They'll be sending invitations to Indra and different planets. Can you come? Brahma's 50th birthday. We should do a grand celebration. Probably they have something there. Okay.
If they go there, then all of their generations are destroyed. Even 1 minute, they stay there. And then
Oh, yeah.
so much time passes, right?
Yeah, imagine like Brahma says, okay, birthday invitation, please come. And then people from lower planetary systems, they try to come. And then they go back and it's over. All their generations have passed away. And then certainly people cannot travel to Brahmalok without the proper qualification. So that's true. So imagine
Prabhu, isn't the story is there, right? When Lord Balaram wanted to marry Revati. It's like,
yes, to find a suitable wife for Balramji. Right? So, yeah. Okay, let's continue.
Shiradi Mataji, text 35. In the beginning of the first half of Brahma's life, there was a millennium called Brahma Kalpa, wherein Lord Brahma appeared. The birth of the Vedas was simultaneous with Brahma's birth.
Okay, so in the beginning of first half, so first prarabdha, right? So this is actually when Brahma was just born. You know, that first day of Brahma, right? That is known as Brahma Kalpa, right? And in that, the Vedas actually appear. Now, in this world, when children are born, in the first day, what do they know? Nothing. But see, Brahma, first day, the Vedas are actually born with Brahma's birth. Right? Okay. The next 36.
Yeah. In the beginning of the first half of Brahma's life, 36. There was a
36.
36. The millennium which followed the first Brahma millennium is known as the Padma Kalpa, because in that millennium, the universal lotus flower grew out of the navel reservoir of water of the personality of Godhead Hari.
So the previous verse, when it was talking of the first day of Brahma, when he was just born, that first day, it is known as Brahma Kalpa, or it is also known as Sweta Varaha Kalpa, because in that first day, Varaha Dev actually appears. And Prabhupada says the birthday of Brahma is in the month of March, according to Hindu astronomical calculation. So just last month, there was Brahma's birthday. March. So March, Brahma's birthday. And I was thinking like, how can we understand Brahma's birthday? Month of March of whose March? Our March? How is it possible? You cannot have Brahma's birthday in every March, right? So you have to understand like what does Prabhupada mean that the birthday of Brahma is in the month of March according to Hindu astronomical calculation. Anyone can understand this? What does this mean?
Brahmaji is born at the time of Mahaprabhu's birth, Prabhu, so that he can come and celebrate.
Okay, that's a good point. That's a good way of seeing it. Okay, so Prabhupada said this statement is reproduced from the explanation from Sri Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. Anyway, that March part is not that Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, so I don't understand how it can be month of March. Do they in Brahma Loka also have January, February, March? And is it that March? That's the only way you can explain, right? But anyways, beyond this. Anyway, where are we? 36, right? Oh yeah, 36, we're right. So, so the first day of Brahma is called what? Brahma Kalpa or Shweta Varaha Kalpa. Second day of Brahma is what called what? Padma Kalpa. Padma Kalpa, why? Because in that day Brahma was born on a lotus. So it's not every day that Brahma takes birth on a not every day Brahma is actually born. What am I saying? Not every day in the morning Brahma wakes up on a lotus. Right? Not every day in the morning Brahma wakes up on a lotus. Right? So different days. So the day when he wakes up on a lotus, then that day is called Padma Kalpa. Okay. That's so interesting. I wonder what are the other beds that Brahma sleeps on. He wakes up and it may be like something else, may not be the lotus, and that may be a different name. But here, when he is born on the lotus, then that is Padmakalpa. Okay, next verse, 37.
Priyanka Mataji.
Yeah. Hare Krishna. O descendant of Bharata, the first millennium in the second half of the life of Brahma is also known as the Varaha millennium because the personality of Godhead appeared in that millennium as the hog incarnation.
Okay. So now we are come. So first Prarabdha, we talked about the first day. What is the first day of the first Prarabdha? Sorry, Prarabdha. First Prarabdha, what is the first day called?
Brahmakalpa.
Or
Or
Shvetmarakalpa. Second day is called Padmakalpa. So that is for the first 50 years. Now in the second 50 years, 51st year of Brahma's day, what is the first day called? And here we see. Again, it's called Varaha, right? So again, Shweta Varaha, because it is Varahadev actually appears in this day. Right? So Prabhupada actually says, so Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur gives a very interesting point here in his explanation. He says, the first day in the 51st year of Brahma, like in the second life of Brahma, so second half of Brahma. So every day when Brahma wakes up, right? What did we say? That only Swargalok to below is actually covered with water, right? But at the end of 50 years, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur is saying, not only up to Swargalok, but even the higher planetary system like Mahalok, Janalok, even they are covered with water. So hence, when Brahma wakes up on his 51st year, first day, he wakes up, then there are no other sages. Other days when he wakes up, the sages of Janalok are still there, right? But on the 51st year, so at the end of 50 years, that annihilation is more than the other times, right? So at that time, there are no other personalities, no sages, no one. And hence, when Brahma wakes up, he actually sees that there is no one else, and then he actually again performs a meditation. So what we read previously about Brahma waking up and seeing no one, that means it is the end of the 50 year. That does not happen every day of Brahma. Interesting point. Okay. Okay. So next, let's go to 38. So just 3 more verses and then we'll finish.
Hare Krishna. The duration of the 2 parts of Brahma's life, as above mentioned, is calculated to be equal to 1 nimisha, less than a second, for the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is unchanging and unlimited and is the cause of all causes of the universe. Right.
And now we are coming to the final point of studying this whole chapter. Starting from the Paramanu atomic time, and we calculated so much, so much description of time is given. All the way to Muhurat, and then like a day, our day, then a demigod's day, the Pita's day, and then Brahma's day. And the entire lifetime of Brahma, what is that compared to? Just like a nimesha for the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So finally, the whole chapter is concluding with the point that yes, all these divisions of time are there, and we can consider the Parama Mahan time. But all that is just like nothing for Krishna. Actually, even this point of Nimesha, less than a second, is only, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur is actually saying, this is only figurative, right? That's the word he used, figurative. Because for Lord, there is no time. And hence, further in that verse, it actually says, who is unchanging, unlimited, and he is the cause of all causes. So if you see the Sanskrit, it says, Avyakritasya. He's unchanging, unlimited. Anadi is beginningless, and he is Jagat Atmana. He is the soul of the universe. Right? So that entire period of Brahma, which seems so long, is only one breath of Mahavishnu. Imagine the glory of that personality. We breathe. We don't even realize how many times we are breathing. Like just during this class, how many times we have taken breath. We don't realize. who is that personality? When he breathes, the whole universe comes. Brahma's 100 years is there in that one breath. How great is our Lord? And this is only Mahavishnu. We have not even come to talk about Krishna, who is the source of Mahavishnu. And that Krishna, that supreme personality of God, who is the source of even Mahavishnu, he is actually personally reciprocating with us. Imagine the greatness. That glorious personality is personally reciprocating. When you are chanting the name of Krishna, Krishna is listening to us. That Krishna, whose one breath is that 100 years of right? So the whole chapter is bringing us to a point of appreciation of the glory of Lord Shri Krishna. And that's why, so Divyanita Limata earlier made this point about time, why are we discussing all? To actually make us realize the glory of that Lord. So, okay. Right. So Prabhupada in the purport, he quotes Brahma Samhita, Yaseka Nishvita Kala Athavalambya. Basically, that one breath of Mahavishnu is the entire lifespan of Brahma. Okay. And then 39. Let's continue.
Pratana Mataji. 39.
Eternal time is certainly the control of different dimensions, from that of the atom up to the superdivisions of the duration of Brahma's life. But nevertheless, it is controlled by the Supreme. Time can control only those who are body conscious, even up to the Satyaloka or the other higher planets of the universe.
Right. So eternal time is controlling everyone. From Brahmaji, the highest living entity, all the way to the lowest, everyone is under the influence of Kala Chakra. Right? And further, this point actually says that Kala Chakra is controlled by who? Krishna. He is the supreme controller. And those who are embodied, particularly Dhamma Mani Nam, those who are embodied, those who are in the bodily consciousness, they are subjected to time. So even in this lifetime, that's why the verse Ayur Harati Vaipumsan, right? Those who are, if you are always hearing Harikatha, are you in bodily consciousness at that time? No. If you are really absorbed in Harikatha, you are directly connected to Krishna. Then the Kal Chakra is not affecting you. Right? Hence that verse actually says, except those who are always engaged in, every Shana is engaged in Harikatha. Right? But those who are bodily consciousness, they are under the influence of Kala Chakra, and Kala Chakra is controlled by Krishna. Okay. 40 and 41.
Translation, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. This phenomena, material world, is expanded to a diameter of 4 billion miles as a combination of 8 material elements transformed into 16 further categories within and without as follows. Hare Krishna.
So how did we start this chapter? So two aspects are mentioned. One is matter, one is spirit. Oh, sorry. One is matter, one is time, right? So we start off with the smallest atom, then we explain the largest element, Parama Mahan, and then we talked of time, right? Now we have already established that how Krishna, the element of time is just one breath of Krishna. What was space? So further, the last two verses talk about the space. And this is the entire material world, which has a diameter of 4 billion miles. Right? 4 billion miles. This is just one universe we are talking about. Is combination of 8 material elements, 16 transformations. So we have read all this before. 8 elements are what? Earth, water, fire, air, ether, sky, mind, intelligence, ego. 16 transformations are 11 senses, 5 sense objects, so on. Right? So this entire universe of a diameter of 4 billion miles, this is just one universe. And further, next verse, this is reading.
The layers of elements covering the universes are each 10 times thicker than the one before, and all the universes clustered together.
Okay.
Appear like atoms in a huge combination.
Yeah. So all the universes. So now he has explained how time is so insignificant for the Lord. Now space, even that one universe is what? 4 billion miles in diameter. That's just one universe. And there are so many universes much bigger than this, right? And all those universes, what are they compared to? And here it says that entire combination of universes, Parama Anu Vata. Right? So how we started the chapter with Paramanu, atom. And he says that entire Parama Mahan, which is all the entire atom, what is that to the Lord? Just like a Paraman. Right? So if you see, the ending is so beautiful of this chapter, that all the technical details, but then we see, oh, the Lord is beyond space, beyond time. And still that Lord is personally reciprocating with each of us. We can chant the name of Krishna and feel Krishna's presence in our life every moment of our life. Right? So he is beyond time and beyond space. And the last verse is actually saying what? Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. Right? Okay, let's see.
There's Lavanga Manji Mataji we missed. You can read the last name.
Hare Krishna. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna, is therefore said to be the original cause of all causes. Thus, the spiritual abode of Vishnu is eternal without a doubt. And it is also the abode of Mahavishnu, the origin of all manifestations. Hare Krishna.
So, see the second line of this verse. Tam ahur aksharam brahma sarva karana karanam. Which is the other verse? Ishvara Parama Krishna Sachidananda Vigra Anadir Adir Govinda Sarva Karana Karana. So all this description that we read into this chapter, two main points: how the Lord is the glories of the Lord beyond time, beyond space. And second point, that this is a Lord, because everything here in the material world is controlled by time, and time is controlled by Lord. So everything that is happening, who is the Sarva Karana Karanam? Krishna. Right? So it ends with such a nice devotional understanding, glory of the Lord, and how Krishna is the cause of all causes. Okay, that ends this chapter. Stop here. Everyone okay? A lot of numbers, lots of maths, lots of physics, lots of chemistry, a bonding between atoms, right? But finally, we end with glory of Lord Shri Krishna. Right? Okay. Any comments, questions, realizations?
Prabhuji, I was thinking about when we started all this, that why Vidurji is not asking from Maitreya Rishi about the Krishna Lila directly. And then we said that we can understand the sweetness of Krishna once we understand his greatness. Huh? So
excellent point. That's very
we
nice.
discussed the greatness, and now we are ending with Krishna.
Nice, very nice point. Thank you.
I was also thinking the same point, Prabhu, that Vidura says to Maitreya that please tell me the pastimes of sweetness related. So that is probably he fixed it. I mean, Maitreya Rishi could have stopped without telling this, because he's again going to go again to details, But he could have, but he has mentioning specifically for Vidura's, appeasement of the heart,
And that's how, like Bhagavatam, this chapter I was thinking, all the technical details is finally bringing us to what? Our bhakti to Lord.
Sweetness. You remember, Prabhu, once we started, you said to make a chart of like qualities of the speaker and qualities of. So, so this could be one of the qualities of like speaker speaks what the hearers wants to hear.
Yeah. We read that even in the last chapter that, how Vidura was glorifying Maitreya Rishi, that he said, not Vidura, I think Suta Goswami saying that how Maitreya Rishi, he had everything he remembered in his heart. Like Krishna, he remembered all the questions and all the answers. So he knew exactly what Vidura wanted to hear. Thank you. Any other points?
I was going to say it's nice how you did the whole chapter in one go, so we could see that from the small all the way to the I don't know if anyone has seen those kind of videos on YouTube, but they go down very small, like to a little bug on a flower, and then they go higher. Okay, a garden to a house to a city and then to a country, and then higher to a planet, and so we kind of got the like a whole kind of the overview, and ending with Krishna and how Krishna is beyond it all. So it's so beautiful to see that.
Thank you. Very nice realization. Thank you.
Abhishek,
Yes.
we feel like, oh, we are doing this service or chanting from so many years, but for Krishna, it may be little second or less than exactly.
That's a very nice realization, Mataji. Like we're chanting, we feel like so many years, no difference. Well, what is it for Krishna's time? The whole day, lifetime of Brahma is what you read, Nimisha, just like a Nimisha for Krishna. Right? But still, that shows the power of bhakti. Such a beautiful point. That even our insignificant years, it may be 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, we are chanting. And we think, oh, I'm chanting for 20 years, 30 years. So but that's the power of bhakti that even that insignificant time we do that, Krishna is attracted. For him, for whom the time is, the entire life of Brahma is only one breath. Such a wonderful point. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Prabhu, I was also thinking on this, the same point that as per Krishna's timeline, he is every second with us. We might be thinking only during Japa, Krishna is with me, or when I'm reading Bhagavatam, his Krishna is with me. But like, just see how the time is. Like, so like, he's with me all the time, every birth, you know.
Sarva Karana Karanam. He is there. He is the cause of all causes. Wonderful. Thank you. Such nice devotional realization. So wonderful to hear. Thank you all. Anything else? Any final points?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, Prabhuji, like we have seen all the pastimes of Krishna, like when the demons are acting. So every time it is mentioned how the demons are very powerful, very powerful. And at the end, it is said like how Krishna killed them. So even the demons are very powerful, but Krishna is more powerful than them. So like when we are thinking about the time thing, like from smallest to the like from Vibhu, like that very nice picture is mentioned, like the Kalosmi. Here in this chapter, we understand like what is Kalosmi actually, the divisions of time very nicely mentioned, Prabhuji.
Thank you.
And like one more thing, like Jagannath pastime, like how Indradhan Maharaj, he wanted to install the Jagannath temple, and then he went all the way to the Brahma's place, and how the time has changed until he went and he came back. So it is very nicely mentioned. We can understand that.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah, when he came back, the whole temple was inside the sand, right? Because he went to give an invitation to Brahmaji. Brahmaji, you please come. And he came back. Where is the temple? Imagine you're building a new house, housewarming ceremony. You go to give an invitation, you come back, house itself is not there. But then they actually. Thank you, Mate. Very nice. Okay. Okay. So thank you so much. Let's stop here. अनंतराय श्रीमद् भागवताम की जय, श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। वंशकल्पतरुभ्यस्य कृपा सिन्धुभ्यैव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय। Thank you all so much for your association this morning. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna. Thank you for joining, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Thank you. Thank
Hare
you.
Krishna, Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam.
Thank you all so much. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Hare Krishna.